Hello, everybody. Got a lot of people on there. Got Kenny from Buckeye, Mindy, Timeless Morphs, Patrick Williams, Cuddle Time Critters, Blue Tongue Inc. Who else we got in here? Got a lot of good people in here. Thanks for joining us. I got a good guest tonight. I'm excited. Someone very knowledgeable and someone that also loves hypo like I do. Almost as much as Brandon from Oodles and Noodles loves the hypo gene over the Desert Ghost gene. So here's Liz. Hey.
How's it going?
I hope Brandon sees that.
I've
been doing it on purpose. I've been. It's even in the description. Hypo, Brandon's favorite morph.
That is awesome. Yeah, he'll appreciate that. But if we really want to make him mad, we should call it Ghost all night.
See, I can't do that because I'm against ghosts. I'm against that comment. I go back to the old school way of true ghost was hypoxanthic. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even true ghost. That was called ghost. And then everyone started calling hypo ghost. And then all of a sudden true ghost came out. So
I agree. I've always called it hypo too. Although I call like orange ghost.
I do call I like to call it OG.
There we go.
I'm not actually saying ghost.
Yes, I'm not actually saying ghost.
But I mean, awesome. Yeah. OG, you know, and I work with like so much OG. Most of my collection's OG. I love OG. I just anything to make them brighter, you know. Yeah. Throw it in. It goes a long way, and I happen to just luck out with like certain females. Like I got a Killer Bee Orange Ghost, and then I got a Pastel Orange Ghost Het Pied. And you know, so me breeding those over years and years and holding back is like OGs everywhere, you know.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I've got a mixture of both. I never purchased any of my animals as orange ghost. They were always sold to me as hypo, but I've thrown a lot of crazy orange hypo stuff. That when I post it out there, people are like, "Oh, it's orange ghost," and I'm like, I mean, I guess it could be, but it wasn't sold to me as that, so I don't sell a lot of my stuff as orange ghost, just for that reason. But you can definitely tell the difference.
Oh yeah, and I honestly think that orange ghost, I have it written down. I probably have about 4 clutches that I bred orange ghost to hypo.
Yep.
And all the babies are orange ghost.
Yep.
And because I have hypo, I have like the real legit hypo. It's a 14-year-old snake, and it looks like an Xanthic. People are like, "Oh, is that Xanthic?" I'm like, "Nope, that's the original hypo. That's the real deal hypo." And that's what I plan on mixing with Xanthic. Yeah, that's my goal. You gotta use your phone.
I think it's definitely more because they're definitely compatible. Like I bred hypo to orange ghost and produced visual orange ghost. So it's definitely a compatible line. I think it's more coming down to a line bred trait, to be honest. Like you said, like the original hypo is more Xanthic looking. Now we have hypos that are more green undertone. And then we have the orange ghost, which obviously has the orange undertone. But if you breed them together, you still make a hypo visual animal.
Yeah.
So I think it's more that people took the most orange animals, kept them back and bred them, or one guy liked the green, and so they kept those back and bred them, and now we kind of have the different phenotypical traits all under the same morph. It's no different than Xanthic. You know, you've got brown Xanthics and true black and white Xanthics. It's just whatever people preference was. They held back one, bred it. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, me and VIP Morphs were talking about Xanthic that like for example, and no beef towards VPI because I don't work with VPI, but VPI is just so much everywhere, and people are breeding the brown ones and breeding the brown ones, and every time you breed those brown ones, like they do turn that gray color, But so Joe from Powerballs, New York Powerballs, was like, what do you think's the difference between TSK and VPI?
Mm-hmm.
And my personal opinion is, so TSK, like for 1 week, it's brown, but for between a shed, you know.
Yep.
But then from then on, it's gray, you know.
Yeah.
It's gray and black. VPI, from what have I seen in people's collections, it's like 50%.
Right.
You know, I mean, there are ones that do the same thing in the last week.
Yep.
But a good portion of them are like.
I think the funny thing about that is when I came into the game 7 years ago now, almost 7 years ago.
Nice.
It was Xanthic and Clown. They were running for who was going to be the next big recessive, right? Those are the two biggest recessives. They were right next to each other in price, and those were the two things everyone was going for. And 7 years ago, the TSK line was crap. I mean, like, it was brown snakes. You couldn't even tell they were Xanthic. Like, they just looked like crap. And VPI was like this really high standard black and white. And now, like you said, so everyone went out and invested VPI. Well, now we've almost seen the tables turn because the people who decided to invest in TSK took the best quality animals instead of how many Xanthics can I produce, like a lot of people are doing back then with the VPI, because that's when it was really hot, right? And so now TSK is a beautiful line. I like TSK and MJ Xanthic. I think they're both gorgeous.
Yeah, I love MJ as well.
And then, you've got VPI that's kind of starting, the quality has definitely come down a lot in just the past 5 years. Yeah, very unfortunate. But that's what, happens when you get multiple people working with it and they're not necessarily breeding it for the next best animal. Yeah. They're breeding it just to make more Xanthics or more common.
Oh, yeah. Or hets, they're making hets with an ugly Xanthic.
Yes.
It's tough. I mean, I guess we can thank who was it, Kevin Johnson and JD Constrictors for really focusing. You don't hear much about Kevin Johnson, but from what I understand, a lot of JD snakes came from Kevin Johnson.
I haven't talked to JD much about where he's gotten and stuff, but I knew that when JD kind of started working with it, there wasn't a whole lot of people working with TSK.
I'm sliding my foot. My cigarettes fell. I kicked the children out. The children aren't allowed in this room. I can smoke cigarettes and drink Guinness.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. We got a lot of people in here. Yeah, hey, look at that. See, he was talking about. I mean, so my whole story about TSK is I was buying these snakes off this girl, a young girl. She was like 18 years old, and she was breeding from when she was 15. It's like so impressive.
Right.
And something happened, and she got older, and life slapped her in the face, and she sold me her whole collection. And I said, well, listen, I'll when you're ready, let me know, and we'll get you going again. But I haven't heard from her in years. So she gave me a 1.5 VPI TSK Xanthic.
Wow.
1 to 5.
Nice.
I sold one to Castro's Constrictors because I was like, I don't like Xanthic. I was like, I just don't see it. I said the only reason why I'm keeping them to breed them was because I wanted to prove them out so I could get more money for them.
Right.
If I get a het, I need to prove it out before I sell it to someone else, unless it comes from like a serious breeder. But if I'm getting it from like some girl I met on Craigslist 5-6 years ago, that's a different animal.
Yep.
But then when I cut that egg open and I saw that TSK Xanthic in there, I was like, holy shit. I mean, I must have did like 20 posts on this girl. 1 out of 4 odds. I got 2 duds, 2 good eggs, and I hit 1, and I hit a female.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
that's it. Now I'm hooked. Now I'm like, I need more Xanthic in my life. The bad thing is I haven't been able to invest into a male.
Right.
So I'm breeding this year now. Now the other 2 females are ready to breed. So I'm breeding all head to head.
Oh man, that's rough.
It's stupid because
it's just rough. It's rough.
I need a visual. Yeah. If I had a visual and then with another gene, like I want to build my army, but
it's hard. It's hard for sure. I mean, the nice thing is, you do head to head, and then every visual female you have, you just hold on to.
Exactly.
Seriously. That's one of my biggest mistakes that I made early in the game was I think it was our second or third season that we produced our first visual pieds. Then it was our third season we produced our first visual clowns. And I hit like 3 or 4 visual pied females, and I hit a couple visual clown girls. And I was just like, man, I don't want single gene pieds and single gene clowns. I want some combo girls, these powerhouse girls that everyone talks about. So I was like, I'll sell these 3 or 4 girls, and then I'll turn around and buy like 1 powerhouse female. That was kind of my thought. Well, next thing you knew, you sell those 3 girls, and then you need a new rack, or you find a different snake for a different project that you decide you want more than that one or whatever.
Yeah.
And so now I have a few visual girls, not nearly as many as I would like. And looking back on that, I'm like, man, I really wish that I would just have held on to all those visual girls, because the value to make double hets or triple hets if you have a good male, or it's so high, instead of keeping like the combo pos hets or combo het girls. Then now I'm like, when you start, your mindset is always to make visuals. Like, I want to make visual clowns, I want to make visual pies, I want to make visual Xanthics. But as you get into this and start looking at it as more of a long-term project, right, or a long-term career, then you're like, no, I want to make triple heads, and I want to make quad heads, and I want to have these codoms on top of those, And it just, you realize that those girls would have been a lot more valuable to you in your racks than, somewhere else.
See, I'm bad. I guess it's good. I get a lot of shit for it, but so I've only sold. This will be my 5th year producing. I've only sold 2 visuals, 2 visual females.
That's the way to do it.
And it's seller's remorse. Like, I was like, fucking, I'm gonna bring. I needed the money because I knew I was buying Junior a new quad, and that was like $3,000, and I'm like, fuck, it's gonna be so much money. And I had, I produced a pastel pied 100% het orange ghost. And then I produced just a regular pied 100%. Nice. And I was like, you know what? I'll bring it. I'll put a high price on if it sells. So, of course, that was the first snake sold that show. Big seller's remorse, because they're not breeding it. It's a pet. So it's like 2,300 grams right now, and it's a pet. And I'm like, when are you going to bring that thing to my house? When am I going to get that thing and let me breed it?
It's like almost like you would trade. Like, let me produce a single gene pied, and like I'll just give you the baby, and you can have I can have the female.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see down the road. Hopefully, maybe. I mean, I would be willing. I bred my banana desert ghost het pied to a lot of girls, a lot of pies.
Yeah.
So
super nice.
If I may be willing to trade, and it's a female maker. I would trade a female banana het pied. Maybe. I don't know. I shouldn't say that yet. I mean,
I get what you're getting at, though. Yes. Yeah.
I would put up a heavy hitting snake for it, you know.
Yeah. Definitely.
But we will see. It's like
Hey,
now
Joe.
the thing what happened. This last show, I brought I was like, fuck it. You know what? I was talking to Castro's Constrictors, and he's like, I'm bringing all holdbacks. I want to make money for Arlington. Like,
Woo!
you know, oh, yeah. He brought like a whole super stripe project. Not super stripe, tri-stripe. He brought a whole tri-stripe project, a male and two females. Yeah. And,
damn.
you know, he's trying to, I was like, I kind of would like to have a little, maybe I could get a snake while I'm in Arlington, you know? And, why is this thing doing this? So I brought a holdback, a cinnamon pied possible head albino female. And I posted a picture of everything packed, of all of them in their displays. Mm-hmm. And I got 3 messages within 5 minutes. Yeah,
it's crazy how that works. Yeah.
And then on top of that, within 3 minutes of that, I already had a 25% non-refundable deposit. But I told them, if you can pick it up at the show and pay it off, I'll take a 250, because they weren't coming till like 2:00. Oh, and I'm sure you've dealt with that, where it's like someone's like, I'm gonna buy it, then you hold it.
We're coming, we're on our way.
And then they don't buy it. So the 250 non-refundable, they were there and they like, but it was so hard. I like held the snake. I was like, you be good for them, because she's got to be like 750 grams. She's a 2020. She eats, never missed a meal, you know. But the catch is I hit 3 of them, so it's not, you know.
So bittersweet, but yeah.
The money's going to 3D shit.
Yes, it's always nice when you hit those odds on a you know, like just kind of blow it out of the water.
Oh yeah. Yeah, pied. I feel like most people did really good with pied last year. I feel like last year was the year of the pied. I've seen so many people having good odds with them, like crazy odds. I know I did good. My other pied clutch was visual to het, and I hit 4 pastel pied, 100% het orange ghost, possible het albino, 1 male, 3 females.
Wow, that's awesome. That's super awesome. Yeah, I had pretty good pied odds last year, but I got screwed on the sex odds. 86% of my hatchlings last year were male.
Oh my God.
86%. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was rough. Yeah, people hitting me up like, do you have females? I'm like, I don't even have females for myself, dude. Like, I have no girls.
That's like M.H. Pythons. He had the same thing. He had, I want to say he said around 80% were male for him as well.
Yep. And you know what? It's weird. It's been consistent like that for me every year since we started breeding. So this will be our 7th season. And I've always gotten, every other year I'm male heavy. Every season it's been that way for me. Every other year I'm male heavy. And then on the years that I'm off, I would say like I'm slightly female heavy, like probably around like 60%, but not as heavy as I usually am on males on the off year. But literally it has been that way since I started. Every other year I've been stupidly male heavy. But I'm going to try to plan for that now in 2022. I'm going to try to plan on making the males that I want. Now watch, because I planned it, I won't get it right. Like I'll break the curse. If I plan for it won't happen.
That's what happens to me every year. I'm not going to lie. Like Exanthic, I would have preferred to have a male because then I could have had visual to head, but I got a female. And then like that pied Orange Ghost project, when they first produced in 2018, I hit 2 pastel pieds, but one of them climbed halfway out of the egg and died.
Oh no!
And I popped it, and that was my male to breed to mom.
No.
Then 2019 she absorbed.
Oh God. Of course.
And then 2020 was my year. But it's weird how that goes with males. When you're fishing for a male, like stupidest ones too. Black pastel het pied. Like I've had like 4 clutches going for them, and they're always female.
Oh
like 3 years ago.
I have there was one male in particular that I was trying to hit this year, and it was a hypo pied. And out of all my males, I hit one hypo pied. I had 2 chances this year. It won, and it was a female. I'm like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Great to have her for in 3 years. She's gonna be. So I'm like, the one animal I was shooting for to be a male this year. I'm 86% males, and she crawls out of the egg female. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, that's why I'm like the odds gods is a vicious animal.
Yes,
it really is. You get these ups and lows, you know. It's like you hit these animals that you want to hit, but then whether or not it's the sex you want, you're like, no.
Yeah, we just had I hate to say this because we had such a good year last year, to be completely honest. It was our best season we've had so far. But as far as even combo odds and sex odds go, we were reamed. I mean, I didn't hit anything I wanted to hit. I didn't hit anything in the sex that I wanted to hit. Like, it was insane how bad this was. I had
rats.
2 clutches last year. I've been trying for 4 years. I need to just buy one. I've been trying for 4 years to hit a GHI Mojave hypo. Like, I just want one. I just want one for the collection. I think they're awesome looking animals.
Hell yeah.
I had 3 chances to hit it last year. It was one was a visual to visual, and 2 of the other ones was a visual to het. So one was a 1 in 4, and the other was a 1 in 16. I think would have been the other 2. And out of like 26 eggs, I think, because they were big girls, I had about 10 eggs apiece on the clutches. I didn't even hit a single snake that had GHI and Mojave in it. I mean, I didn't hit a head.
Oh my God.
I didn't hit a visual. Nothing. Like, not a single animal that had both genes in it. And the only genes that were at play was GHI, pastel, Mojave, and hypo. In all 3 pairings, those are the only 4 genes at play. GHI, pastel, Mojave, and hypo. And I hit GHI hypos, GHI pastel hypos, Mojave hypos, pastave hypos, all those in hets, but not a single snake had GHI and Mojave. Because I was like, at least give me a het that I can like breed. Yeah. Nope, nothing. Did not get anything.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I do you have any more of those GHI hypo males?
No, they sold like that.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Yep.
I keep moving my head because a rodent. I can hear a rodent in a band. I just don't know which band.
I have, I think, 2 or 3 more chances to hit them this season as well. So, fingers crossed. I'm like, if I don't hit it this year, I'm just gonna go buy one. Expensive animal, right? I mean, it's a fairly decent, but it's not something like insane. And I've been trying for 4 years now, and I'm like, all right, this is the 5th. If I don't make it, then we're done. Like, I'm just gonna buy one and be over. And then watch.
You gotta hit it.
I'll buy one and I'll produce like 20 of them the next season. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It always seems to be how it goes.
Yeah, it's as I said. I mean, the odds gods. That's like my favorite line. What people say to me, they're like, "Well, I'm gonna pair this, then pair that, and then, you know, with the odds, I'll hit at least one male and one female. I plan on holding back both of them."
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop right there. because
you will jinx yourself all day long.
yeah. Oh, well, I read on Morph Market and 50%. I'm like, that is all bullshit. Like, look what you produce.
Yep.
And take that. But when it comes to like 50% are going to hit, and I'll hit 50% pies, and 25% will be GHI pie. No, bull fucking shit.
Yep.
You know,
it never works out. Yeah, I had another pairing that it did that to me this year. I had my KRG lesser black pastel het pied, and I wanted KRG and hypo, so I put it to my pastel hypo het pied, and I was like, what are the chances that I'll hit lesser pieds, right? They're pretty low because I got several other codoms in there. It's het to het. They'll all be 100% het for hypo. Out of 8 eggs, I hit 4 pieds. So really awesome, right?
Oh, yeah.
All 4 pieds were lesser pieds. All 4 of them had lesser in them. And it was a 3.1. So I ended up with 3 males that were all lesser pieds, 100% het hypo, possible KRG, possible pastel, possible black pastel. So I'm like, the value of these animals are so drastically different just based off if they prove out or not. So I did hit 3 of them. I sold one of them to a good friend of mine that was just looking for a pet. And then I kept 2 males. I'm like, I'm just got to keep them and breed them one season and prove them out, even if it's just to see what codoms are in them, you know, because having black pastel and KRG and everything on top of that would be pretty awesome to know if that was in there or not. But yeah, I was like, what are the chances I'll hit a lesser pied? Then out of all 4 pieds that I hit, all 4 of them
lesser pieds.
Yep.
So now, like those males, when you breed them, are you going to breed them to like another recessive to produce double hets and then be able to prove out those genes so that those visuals will pop out?
I'll probably do something along those lines. I won't breed it to pied again, obviously, because then I just run into the same issue if the lesser were to pass on. They are 100% het hypo, so I might just end up throwing them to a visual hypo girl for the chances of hitting, you know, visual hypos with the codoms on top that are 100% het for pied. Would probably be my plan for those. And to be completely honest, next year is going to be such a big pushing year for me for Desert Ghost, Monarch, and even some clown stuff, and then my KRG stuff as well, that they might just sit on a shelf until 2023. And I'll just let them grow up some more. I won't push them to breed the first year. Just depends on what girls I have kind of left over that aren't really doing anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's nice. It's nice getting to that. Like, I'm sorry. This is my last year was a good year, but this is my like first year where I can say like the stars are lining up. You know, like knock on wood, I should have a great year with my pairings. So
and then you'll say that again next year and again next year, because I always tell people, if you're not excited for the next year, you're doing something wrong. Like, I'm always excited for the season that we're on, but then I'm also looking at my holdback racks and going, man, like, what if I had that female this year? What would I do with her, you know, with this to make this combo even better? And, you know, you've got to always, the next year always looks better than the year before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm in the works of figuring something out of getting a hold on, I gotta just see where there's gotta be a fucking rat in one of these bins. You know what it is? It's cold up here, so I actually put plastic on the front of my racks.
Oh wow.
So I put Velcro on it, and then I put plastic on so that it keeps my ambient temp.
Right. That's a really good idea, actually.
At 84 degrees. Yeah, and it also keeps the humidity in. So
I've also seen people do like almost the grow tent material, like that reflective material, and they'll put it out, like just enough that they can stand in front of the rat, kind of, to help keep the heat in that one general area as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that works too. But that's the bad thing about this tarp, because I can't tell, but I can. You know when you hear a rat in the bin and it's scratching the bedding trying to dig.
Yes.
I fucking hear that, and it's bad because that's the rat I checked. Usually it's the rat that my wife or son checked that there's a floater in there somewhere. You know.
It's amazing how well they can like hide in plain sight almost. Like you open it and you're checking, and they almost just freeze so much that you don't even notice that the rat is in there. I've had them curl up like just perfectly behind the water bowl to where like you don't see them when you're just going through checking. It's crazy.
Yeah, tonight I found, because my wife while I was getting ready, she put blue tape on the bins that had rats in them still, and I opened the bin. I'm like, there's no rat in here. It must have ate. And she's like, no, I just checked that tub. There's no way it just ate. And the rat was in the back corner.
Yep.
In the corner, and the snake was curled around, blocking it.
Yep.
So that's why I couldn't see the damn rat.
Yeah, we always go through. I always go through twice. So like, Kyle will check the ARS, and I check the Freedom Breeder, and then we switch. Like we always go through twice because it. Not always do we miss something, but I'd say like once a month or so, one of us will find, find another rodent.
Yeah, we're like twice a month. Yeah, we're definitely twice a month. It happens, you're like, and then it's like it's always like on that heat mat, on the heat tape.
Yep. Yeah.
And oh shit! You know what? I didn't even wear a blue shirt.
I got mine on.
I know. Well, and I should. I have an autistic child. Yeah. So, Autism Awareness Month. Everyone that's did something for it, I appreciate you all. That's it's cool because the autism world has really bloomed since like Mario was first diagnosed.
Right.
It wasn't, not that many people knew their kids even had autism, and like when he was diagnosed, like we had no idea what the fuck we were walking into. That's why I became such an advocate for Mario. And I mean, I even represented parents for if they because someone did it for me when they did the first IEP on Mario. Mm-hmm. A parent came in and said, before we even went in for the IEP, she said, just listen to me, and this is what you're going to do, and you'll be the best parent for your kid. And her thing was, is that the state maximum? Is that the state maximum? So they said, oh, well, we're recommending 2 speech therapies. Is that the state maximum? Yes.
Right.
All right, we're doing 1 PT. Is that state maximum? No. Why can't he qualify for state maximum? Well, I guess we could push him through for state maximum there. Now he's getting 2 physical PT, and but now it's like crazy. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. That's awesome though that there's kind of a support group for both parents and children, and just people to kind of, do stuff like that and help out. And it's very cool.
Because Mario has no idea what autism is. He has none.
Yeah.
No idea at all. He just knows that he's a little bit different than everyone else. He picks that up. But he's not ashamed of it. Mario is the first one to, even if when kids are, because kids are honest, So there's been plenty of times where they're like, oh, what is wrong with that boy? We've heard that so many times. And well, Mario has ASD. And Mario just keeps on trucking, he don't give a fuck. He just has it,
That's awesome.
He's a little pimp. He loves the ladies. Yeah. He likes older women too.
Oh, there you go.
Since he started talking, and this is a kid that was like nonverbal. He was nonverbal. Like we didn't know he was going to talk. He was nonverbal until he was 4 years old. And
Wow.
by 5, he'd like go and sit next to an 8-year-old girl and be like, "Hey, you know Lightning McQueen? Lightning
Nice.
McQueen is the fastest race car driver in the world." And I mean, I've seen like 10-year-old girls like stuck in conversation with him because of how cute he is talking about cars, you know. But it's awesome.
Yes.
I
Very
every
100%.
kid, they say every kid has a different flavor, you know. They're all
Yeah.
different, you know.
Yep.
And Mario keeps it interesting. That kid,
Yes.
yeah.
He's fun. I've seen him pop in and out of your lives and videos and stuff before, and
Yeah, he loves it. He's more of a businessman of YouTube. You know, he's like, well, we want 150 million likes on this video, and please subscribe. And you know, that's like his line.
that is
Which is
awesome. Yeah, when I was younger, I used to volunteer at NKT, which is New Kingdom Trail Riders, and they dealt with a lot of people with different physical abilities and stuff like that. But we had this one boy in particular, and I volunteered there, and then I also donated one of my horses for lesson time there as well. And this one boy, was pretty much nonverbal. He was 14 years old and never spoken a word in his life. And so he was, we taught the horses there and stuff how to respond to physical cues instead of verbal cues. So they would do, like, if they want him to walk forward, they would pat him on the butt. They wanted him to trot, they would pat him on the withers, and they did different stuff like that. And we would say the verbal cue and go through there. But we'd been working with this boy. He took lessons specifically on my horse. He was just really quiet. And we'd been working together for about 18 months. And I remember the parents would always walk on one side, and then we'd have another volunteer on the other side. And the boy was just, we're like, all right, now tell him to walk on, and I figured he was going to give his cue physically like he always does. And this boy just almost clear as day just goes, walk on. And the mom just started bawling. I mean, in 14 years, she'd never heard her son utter a word, and it's pretty amazing once you get, around that kind of atmosphere, and just how they're just, all the kids there and even adults, they're just so sweet and so loving, and just like almost like a very purity
innocent
to their attitude.
Yeah, they don't see the world the way we see the world.
Yes.
We see the world in evil, and they see the world in there's so much cool stuff that I can play with,
Yeah.
But they're brutally honest. Mario's embarrassed the shit out of me so many times, because we'll go to like someone's house and we'll be like, hey, your friends are over there. And then right in front of my friends, he's like, those aren't my friends. I don't like those people. And I'm like, Mario, be quiet and go play. He'd be like, I don't want to play. So now it turns into like, they're not my friends. Why are you saying they're my friends? I don't like them. And I'm like, just be quiet and go play, please.
Yeah.
Just get out of here.
Yes. Sometimes we have to do things we don't like, But no, yeah. It's definitely a lot of fun. And like I said, working there and stuff, you definitely got a lot of that brutal honesty. Like maybe you'd walk in, like, I know I worked as a farmhand, then I would go volunteer there at night. Like sometimes I'd have like a really long day. Like I started work at 4 a.m. It's now like 6 o'clock, and I'm going to go till 8 o'clock on these lessons. I'm tired. And I mean, you walk in and they'll just be like, man, Liz, you just don't look good today. Like, like, yes, I know. Thank you. It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's funny. I learned that in when we were living in Westchester, he told multiple people that they were stupid assholes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, couldn't believe it. And it's funny. I blame that all on my father and my mother, because when they watch the Yankee game, they'll be like, why would you do that, you stupid asshole? And oh yeah, Mario's, we discovered it because he told us about how Kick Hicks cheated in a race because he's a stupid asshole, and that's how he beat Lightning McQueen. And he said it like all the same tone, no,
Right. Yeah, there's no like, oh man, I'm gonna say asshole in front of it was like,
Nope.
yep.
Yeah, it's at first I think the hardest part of having a special needs child, and I have two. Jenny's actually delayed development as well. Not autism, but she's delayed development.
Right. Yeah.
And when Mara was first diagnosed, it was more about like fear of how an intelligent kid can fail at life, essentially,
Right.
because this world is unforgiving. And I'm thinking, well, this guy's,
Yep.
it's hard enough for a normal kid, well alone a really smart kid, and then now you got a kid with all disabilities.
Yeah.
But once I got past that, then it was like, then you just go for the ride, like he's a clown. He is a clown. He's not an animal like Jenny. Jenny's the animal. Yeah.
She's sweet.
So I see your upgrade on your breeding facility with your rodents.
Yes. Yeah, that's been a long journey.
I love it when other breeders are like me, because you feel like there's a connection when another breeder feeds their whole inventory off of their own production.
Yep.
And
yeah.
And it's one thing when it's like, okay, you got like 30 snakes, okay, but when you're in the triple digits and producing babies, it gets fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. There's definitely a sense of kind of like, I don't know if I want to say pride, but like you feel good knowing that you can produce all your own rodents for all your own animals. Like I don't ever have to worry about, well, what if I can't get pups, or what if I can't get mediums, or what if my supplier runs out, or anything like that. It's just always, every time you go down there, you're going to have enough rodents for the snakes. You're going to have the exact sizes that you want. You can be as picky as you want for your animals. Because, I mean, we have a couple girls, especially during breeding season, when they start getting picky anyway, that will only eat like a small medium, or maybe you want a large size medium for a girl that's just laid a few weeks ago. You're trying to get weight back on her, and just be able to be super picky about exactly what goes into my snakes it's definitely nice.
It's convenient. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. It's worth the dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
Plus that weekly bill.
Yes. Yeah, we have been breeding our own feeder rodents since we had 17 snakes. We quickly found out that rodents were expensive, and so we quickly went out and bought our own breeders and raised them up and started producing our own. So we've been breeding snakes. This will be our 7th season, and this will be my 6th year breeding rats. So we very quickly got into the rodent business. And in the beginning, it was just producing enough for us, and then we would sell our excess. We've had 2 or 3 customers that have been buying their rats from us for 6 years. About 5 to 6 years. And, they have small collections themselves. I think one of the biggest collections, they probably have around 75, maybe over 100 animals now. And they've always bought all their rodents off us. There has been days during hatchling season or weeks that we run short, though. Like, we have enough for us, but we have to tell people, like, hey, hatchling season's coming. Our pups are, we're going to be feeding off so many pups that you end up running out of mediums and smalls and all those other sizes, or at least to sell off, not just for your collection. And we actually partnered with a really good friend of ours that we kind of got into breeding ball pythons. He bought some of his first ball pythons off us. You can find him on Instagram and Facebook. It's Chris and Jerry Langle with Wide River Reptiles. But we actually partnered with them for our rat business. So it's just nice to have 2 people, because if one of us wants to go to Arlington, or one of us wants to go on vacation for a week or whatever, there's someone else in the area to go check on things. So it's really convenient. I would say be careful of who you go into business with, right? Everyone, there's always that risk. We're really good friends with these people, but we also know that there is a difference between a business relationship and a friendship. Like, decisions that are made for the business are not to directly hurt the friendship, right? You know, there's almost like a barrier between the two. So, and we did everything legally, like we're legally an LLC, everything's on paper and all that kind of stuff. So definitely a big decision if you ever think about going into business with a friend. Not a bad thing by any means, but you know, lots of factors to kind of consider with that. So we feed our collection, their collection, and have excess now that we're selling. Planning on opening like a retail storefront for a like an exotic animal pet store. So we're pretty excited.
That's great. Yeah, that's the dream, right?
Yeah, I
That's
hope
the dream.
so.
Oh, yeah. I work with everything, so I'm really jealous. Richie Fish of A&R Geckos, he's been talking about doing a store for years and years and years, and his partner that he was supposed to do it is just, there's always an excuse. Every space they go to, oh, I don't like this parking lot. Oh, I don't like this view. Oh, I don't like this. So there's always bullshit. So he was finally like, you know what? I'm going to go look at this building. I'm not even fucking bringing you.
Yeah.
He looked at the building and was like, sign the lease. And now he's gonna have his store.
That is awesome.
And it's right before he's got like 2 more years, and then he's retired. So he's like, let me just do my 2 more years, and I can retire, work on the thing. And
yep.
I think he's talking about me.
Yes,
I don't have a shit ton of Cresties anymore.
Oh no!
I sold a lot of them. I mean, I probably have. We definitely have over 100, but like,
holy crap!
When you have 300,
yes.
When you get to 100, it's like, okay,
yeah,
we got a lot of holdbacks. You know,
we bred Cresties in the beginning. We did leopard geckos. Right now we do ball pythons, spotted pythons, and BIs, formerly known as BCIs, but they changed it again. So the boa imperators. I have a pair of olive pythons that were growing out.
I heard you talking about that.
Yes.
We gotta go. Let's get back to that after you talk about all these other animals.
Yeah, we got the olives, and then I actually have a couple bearded dragons. The female that I purchased off a breeder who's a good friend of mine, he's with Swampy's Grubs. She's actually a chimera. So she's a perfectly conjoined twin. So if you hold her one way, she looks like one dragon, but if you hold her the other way, she looks like a different dragon. And they're both very similar. One's a high red, one's orange, but their eyes are different. You can tell the markings are different. She's a leatherback on one side and a dunner on the other. So she's super cool. And
one head?
One head, yeah. Yep, she's a perfectly conjoined twin. You can see the line like down her back where the pattern and color changes. And like I said, she's leatherback on one side and dunner on the other.
Have you ever hit her with a sonogram and see what her organs look like?
I have not. I do have an ultrasound. I should try that. But no, I've never hit her. I might even take her in for an x-ray. I've got several vet friends. I used to be an emergency vet technician. So, but no, we've never hit her with anything. But we're going to be loaning her out. She should be up to size, if not this year, next year. We're going to be loaning her out on a breeding loan to him because she technically, her clutch would be sired by 2 different mothers because she has 2 sets of DNA. Yeah, so that'll be exciting. That'll be kind of my first clutch with the bearded dragons. But
you want to see 30 eggs out of that.
Yeah.
Right? You want to see a massive clutch.
We're hoping. We have a really good friend around here. He's with ESW Reptiles that does corn snakes and king snakes and things like that. So we're hoping to supply the pet store with mainly local breeders. If not local breeders, then people that we know. Like I want to try not to buy from like your Apets and all those big distributor breeders.
Yeah, you want to keep it as high quality.
Yes. Yep.
Captive
Definitely.
bred animals, not
Yep.
You know,
And then I
mass
breed
produced.
chinchillas and sugar gliders. I have a really good friend that breeds hedgehogs as well. So we'll have like a small exotic animal section as well.
Once we get the hell out of New York and we can have a house and have climate in different areas of the house.
Yep.
A parrot is on my a cockatoo. I want one that goes around and does that shit. I don't know if you've ever seen the one that curses, the one where the owner's smashing the cage and he's like, fucking asshole. I want one of them birds that's cursing. And then, but I want sugar gliders.
Yeah,
sugar gliders
they're amazing. They're so much fun. I absolutely adore them. They're just wonderful.
I used to have to when I worked at a pet store, we would sell them and they would neglect them, like most owners of them, because they're so cool, but they don't realize that. I mean, this thing's like a baby. They're like a baby. Yeah. If you don't take them out every day and socialize them, then they just turn into angry little monkeys that
angry little squirrels. Yeah, that's exactly what they're like.
Vicious.
Yeah.
Like you shove your hand in their cage to clean their bowl, and they fucking bite you. And
they can be, for sure. Yeah. It's the biggest thing is once you get through the bonding process, which is hard to give a time frame to, because it can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 years, depending on the glider, to be completely honest. But once you get through that bonding process, then they're good. They're like so chill, but only with that person. I mean, they're very intelligent. They can distinguish between different people so easily. In the wild, they live in colonies of like 30 to 60 animals. And so they're super social and they bond for life. I actually have a pair of gliders that I went to see their breeder who I got him from, who's a good friend of mine, and they hadn't seen him in almost 2.5 years. And I walked into the dude's house and I had them like in their little pouch, right? And I had it unzipped, like I'd been wearing it in the car, and they'd just been sleeping the whole time. And I literally walked into his house and he was like, hey, and they jumped out of the pouch and jumped onto him. And we're just running all over him like crazy. I mean, 2.5 years, and they still knew as soon as I walked in that house who he was. So, and that's what's hard for a lot, like you said, the owners with neglect and stuff. We see it a lot in the gliders, is people get up and then they decide they're too much work or whatever, and they decide to rehome them. It's almost like a dog. They go through like a real serious depression when they lose their owner, because they have bonded very strongly with that person, So, but they're really cool.
Yeah, really you won't see them. I like specialized in that. People would have me try to bring them back to where they're like open to be social. Mm-hmm. And what I learned was you just need a nice bowl of waxworms, and you sit there and you start with the waxworm far and let them go out with you, halfway into the display, and then slowly get it till they can eat on your hand. And once they eat on your hand, that's when that wall starts to come down.
Yep. And mealworms, waxworms, yogis, which are just yogurt drops, and avocado are like your 3 big.
Really?
Big
avocado?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They go nuts for it. It's like crack.
Do they get a green mustache?
Yeah, sometimes. But yeah, it's literally like there's actually a mix. I can't remember exactly what's in it, but it's like avocado, honey, and something else. I don't remember exactly what it is, but they literally call it like glider crack. Yeah. And you like mix it up and then you bake it and then it makes like these little cookies,
Oh, shit.
It's crazy.
Yeah, one day. I mean, right now we're working with so many species, and then now we just added blood pythons to the snakes. Nice. So now we're ball pythons, blood pythons, red-tailed boas, and corn snakes. Mm-hmm. Plus almost all the New Caledonian species except for the small, tiny ones and the and chihuahuas. I don't know, something about chihuahuas that I stay away. I've ran into like extremely vicious chihuahuas.
Ooh.
Like open up their tank and they're like barking, growling like a dog, like pushing you back,
Oh
running to
my
the front, snapping
gosh.
at you. Yeah,
Wow.
and they're not. It's not like the Tokays. Like I got Tokays. I love Tokays. I breed Tokays too.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Tokays keep their distance. They're like, don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
I can go in there and I can mess with stuff and they're fine. But the Chihuahuas, like, you open up that cage if you have an aggressive one, they literally come after you. I'm like, yeah, no.
Yep. And I always think it's funny because everyone always claims that like the Tokays are so vicious. And I don't have a lot of experience with them, but I have experience with like 3 or 4 different ones. I was even at a buddy's house and he's like, "Oh, he's vicious. You can't do anything with him." I just reached in, like scooped him up. The dude was like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like he was just chilling on my
Really?
hand. Like, that bastard bites me every time. But yeah, we've been to shows and stuff, and I'll always be like, "Can I see it? Can I see the Tokays?" Or they're like, "Yeah, but it's probably gonna bite you." And I get it out, and it just like sits there, like it's
Oh,
fine. Like I
shit.
can move it and everything. Now watch, I say that we're gonna all be at Arlington. You're gonna be like, "Here's a Tokay gecko," and I'm gonna pick it up. It's gonna bite the shit out of me or something. But my experience with them has always been really good, and I always hear that they're so vicious. So I think,
Yeah, I keep scope around when I mess with the Tokays because they lock up on you.
yeah,
And I made the mistake at a show. I was screwing around and I was holding a Tokay and I pretended to make it bite my nipple, but that fucker bit me.
I'm like, and then it actually bit you.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this thing, latched onto me. Thank God it didn't hit skin, but it held onto my shirt.
Woo! Yeah.
And it wouldn't let go. So then it was just dangling on my shirt. It was like an 8-inch Tokay.
Oh my
So
god.
I ended up folding a deli, like a salad container, over it
Yep.
and just waited until it finally let go of my shirt. It was on me for like 15 minutes, just grunting and pissed off.
Yeah, I have a Cuban night anole that is just an asshole. He was super cool at the show. I bought him because we do a lot of educational shows around the area at schools and stuff. And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
cool." He's like a Cuban night anole. He's about this long or so. And I was like, "That'll be cool. It's an anole that I can show kids. I don't have to worry about like losing because they're this freaking big." So I was like, that'll be awesome. He was super chill at the show. The guy's like, "Yeah, he's so nice." And I'm like, awesome. I get him home. That little thing hates me. Absolutely hates me. Like I get him out and I put him on my shoulder and he like runs up and like bites like the skin right here on my jawline and stuff. And I mean, this little gecko that's like this big, his mouth is like teeny tiny, but damn, he gets like just the skin and just pinches the shit out of you. And then he grabs a hold and like thrashes back and forth like he's a damn gator. And I'm like, you're 4 inches long.
And they get big. Aren't those the ones that get big? Which are the animals that get big? The Cuban, I know a Cuban species gets like, massive.
Yeah, so he's about full grown at this, so he's the smaller Cuban, I don't know. But I mean, like with his tail, he's a good probably 12 inches. But his body itself is probably only 4, maybe 5 inches. But he's got that huge tail. But they just don't get very like bulky. Like they're very, very narrow.
Yeah, like young iguana like.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, we saw, unfortunately, at a flipper table in New Hampshire, and you're a vendor, so you know how it is. You see those flippers that have all the cool shit, and you're like, yeah, it's cool, but they're a flipper.
Yep.
They had like a 15-gallon tank with like, must have been like 20 of the giant Cuban ones. The ones that are like, 16 inches. Their fucking heads are like giant.
Yep.
And I was just like, man, I wish I had the room because they got the craziest colors. They have some really cool colors in their face and their expression. It looks like they're smiling. They have like a smile look to them.
Yeah, they're super cool. We had that happen to us kind of. We were actually at Arlington and this last fall, And there were some wild-caught flipper people there. I mean, it was just super obvious. And we have an Asian water monitor. He's 2 years old. He's pushing probably 3.5 feet, not including his tail. He's good size.
Nice.
We're in the middle of building a 1,500-gallon pond in the basement for him. Yeah, it's an 8x10 room. The whole thing is a pond. And we're going to have like land over top of different parts. And anyway, it'll be pretty cool. It's going to have an 8-foot glass acrylic wall with sliding doors so you can see right into it. And it's going to be the corner piece for Kyle and I's office. So it'll be fun. Like, we're down there working and stuff. We'll have this big pond. We're going to put some tilapia, arowanas, that kind of stuff in the pond.
Yeah.
We'll have a waterfall in the back corner. So we're excited to get it up and running. But now it's like all the fun construction part and electrical and all that kind of stuff. But we were at Arlington, and Kyle was looking at these little wild-caught Asian water monitors that were maybe like this big, just teeny tiny little things. And he walks up, is kind of looking at them, and the lady's like, "Oh, are you interested in an Asian water monitor?" And Kyle's like, "No, he's like, I'm just kind of looking." And she's like, "They make great pets. They only get like 2 to 3 feet long." And
Really?
Like, really? Because I have one at home. And the lady's face just went like stark white. And she's like, "Well, maybe they get a little bit bigger than that." I'm like, "Yeah, try 6 to 8 feet and like 150 to 200 pounds.
And this is a flipper?
Yeah.
Oh, those motherfuckers.
Selling, $50 Asian water monitor, telling us like, "Oh, they only get a couple feet long." It's like,
yeah.
No.
Yeah, a little bit bigger than that.
A little bit bigger, just a little bit.
Tiny bit.
And that's how we got our guy. We got him at about 18 inches, and the guy's like, the people at the pet store told me he wouldn't get any bigger when he was a baby. They said he was full grown, and he's an asshole when he bites everyone. And I'm like, he's keeping him in like a 125-gallon tank on like aspen bedding with a corner water dish. Like, nothing about this animal. Like, absolutely nothing. It's just,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So Chad said, shouldn't Chino have an Asian water monitor?
You should.
I need to leave New York. They're illegal in New York. Uh-oh, you froze up.
Am I better?
Oh, now you're back. I didn't know. I already yelled at my son because my son was on the computer, and I know that will make it a little choppy, but he's off now. Yeah, I want one, but they're illegal in New York, and you know how it is when you run a legit company.
Yep.
You just can't have anything illegal. Common snapping turtles. I've had. Like, I literally had to rescue one. Like, my buddy worked security at Pepsi, and the fucking thing kept on trying to go into the Pepsi building.
Yeah.
And they kept on joking with him because he's head of security, and they said, "Oh, we have somebody trying to enter the premises on the east side." And he goes out there, and he's like, "Where is this person? What's their description?" They're like, "Oh, he's small. He's all green." And it was a hatchling, confused snapping turtle.
Oh no!
And I kept it. Yeah, and I kept it for a couple of years until my inventory really jumped. And then I was no more fucking illegal shit, because that one thing is all they need to make my life a nightmare.
It's unfortunate, and we're fortunate enough. I mean, we live in Illinois, so we're not that fortunate. But most animals are legal as far as reptile species go. So we're lucky to be able to have him. Someone just left him on my table at an expo. I had no plan on getting him at all. Yeah, someone just dropped him off, didn't want him anymore, and like ran out of the expo building. So that's how I obtained my Asian water monitor. And my first thought was we were going to call 2 of our local zoos and donate him, pretty much. That was kind of our plan. And we ended up keeping him for a couple weeks, and I just absolutely fell in love with him. I mean, he's like having a dog. He's just the coolest pet ever. But like I said, there's a lot of, he's going to be the most expensive free pet I've ever had after this cage build. And I mean, I hate to say that it's kind of, I mean, we're going a little extravagant, obviously, with the size of the pond and things like that. But an 8x10 room is not an understatement on the true space requirements for a full-grown male Asian water monitor. You know, you might not have to give them the giant pond, but you're still going to have to give them an 8x10 room because he's going to be 6 feet long, you know? So they're awesome pets, but there's definitely a lot of other factors to consider before purchasing one.
There's responsibility behind it.
Yes,
it's giving you as a human has to give that animal the best life that you can give it.
Yep.
Not that you want.
He hangs out upstairs with our dogs and our 2 cats. He just walks around. I've got like 3 or 4 different basking platforms for him when he wants. He just climbs up there, and he has one in every room, so he's never too far away from like a basking platform if he wants one. And he just chills out. Like, I got 3 65-pound dogs. He's about 3.5 feet long, and I got 2 normal house cats, and they all just coexist. Like, they just it's the weirdest thing. I was really nervous about the cats when he first got to be a bit bigger. You know, I was like a little nervous what might happen between the cats and the monitor. And of course, it's all supervised time and stuff like that. But yeah, he just follows me around the house like a puppy.
I want one. I definitely need one in my life, and I have Virginia and I have North Carolina on my radar.
North Carolina, my vote.
North Carolina, North Carolina is nice. But Virginia, I don't know. I spent a couple days in Virginia, and it was just, I was by Virginia Tech. I haven't been in the military, but I love my military people. And I don't know, there's something about Virginia, how, everybody's got guns. I like that. I feel like everybody's in check when Granny's got a 45 in her fucking purse. It's a lot different than New York, where the criminals are the ones that are carrying the guns, and the law-abiding citizens don't want to lose that privilege, so their guns are locked at home. So another big reason why I want to leave New York, on top of I want a large snake. Now, in New York, you cannot have a Burmese python or an anaconda or a retic, but you can have an olive python. It is not on the list for illegal animals.
Nice.
Even though it should be, and it not should be as in, I don't think any of those animals. I think that they can do
the reasoning that they're using. If it's a size reasoning that they're using, then yes, technically an olive python would fall under that category. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, I mean they're big but fucking elegant.
Yes, Kyle's the one who really wanted the olive pythons, and I was like, whatever, if you want a pair of them, here, I'll designate some of the ball money, you can go get some. And I was like, why? Why do you want a gray snake? Like, this is so dumb. Like, you could have all these other gorgeous morphs, right? And you want this flat gray, like, snake. There's like nothing cool to it. That was my first opinion of the olives. I was not a fan. And then we got our first one, and dude, they're awesome. Like, they are so cool. They are so cool. They're iridescent. They like they fade between like this rocky gray color and like this real camo hunter green, and they feel like velvet. I mean, they're like silk. They're so smooth.
Really? So
Yeah,
like similar to like crested gecko,
kind of, but
more
they're
armor.
not as. Yeah, they're a little. I guess I would say. I don't know. It's a little bit different than that, but it is very similar. It's very silky. Like, it wouldn't be something that I would think had scales almost. You know what I mean? Like normal snake scales. Their scales are so small and so smooth. And their personalities are just really cool. They're arboreal. So it's, our girl's only about 4 feet right now, but she's 4 feet, but she's only like maybe this big around. I mean,
she's like a pencil right now.
She's still tiny. So she's probably like this big around. She's probably around like 3.5 feet. Their tails are ridiculous. Like, it almost looks like they would have a prehensile tail if it was a lizard. Like, you have your body, and then you have like the cloaca, and then there's this much tail still left to the snake. And it's just this real thin, and they use it to grasp different things. And I mean, they're different, but really awesome. Really, really awesome. And ours are sweethearts. I mean, I know some people say they're like super aggressive as babies, but ours have never bit. They never strike. Their feeding response is off the charts. But they're super easy to handle and super chill.
Yeah, it was on my radar. It's just I didn't think my house would be filled with snake racks. So
yes,
and then everything grows. Every project grows. The crested geckos. Yep. I'm finally at a point where I'm downsizing something. Crested geckos took the hit, but I also held back 20 female gargoyles last season. So
right, yes. I like the gargoyles. They're fun.
I do too. They're because like essentially most New Caledonians don't do shit. Like, like when you're awake, you're just staying still,
Yep.
But the reds, I mean, even the reticulateds, and there's just so many different transitions of color and tones, and red base and brown base and black base, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And they're more profitable, so that doesn't suck either.
No, definitely. But yeah, we're sticking with the ball pythons. We'll always have the balls, but we're branching out to like the olives. I really want a pair of white lipped. Really want a pair of captive red white lips. I even want to get into like the false waters. I'd love to have some false water cobras.
Bolins, right? Those are the Bolin pythons.
Yes, the Bolins. Which they're cool. I do really like the Bolins as well. But we're branching out to a few different species. And then I've been talking to Mike over at Mike's Monitors about these dwarf monitor species as well. Like the Ackies and just the, Australia species
the green ones
in general. He's got Kimberly Rocks. He's got Remoras. He's got all kinds of stuff.
I like the little green ones, the ones that are like fluorescent green.
Yes, yeah.
Those are cool because those remind me of like a dinosaur. They're like a T-Rex like movement.
Yep. Yeah, they're very cool. So now I've got all that stuff on my radar, and we're kind of in the same boat where we're just looking to pretty much move to a bigger facility that's not the basement.
Yeah. Yeah, see, it'll be nice when our dining room and living room, once it's its own facility, and that's really soon. I think we got another 2 years tops, and then we can have a facility where it'll be more controlled and not as chaotic, and we can separate the reptile business from our home. and her family.
Yep.
Because
we're
the in-laws
kind
don't
of
want to come here anymore.
Yeah. Yep. I get that, which is not a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing. I mean, we always get invited over. I don't have to clean up the mess. I don't have to host. Like, I'm always the guest. You know, I never get my turn to host anything, which I'm all right with.
It was fine until no one would come to spray our geckos for the Arlington trip.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Because of the snakes.
So I mean, I know the snakes will be fine. You know, fill their water bowls and they'll be set it and forget it. You know, but the crested's got to get sprayed at least every other day.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So finally they gave in because I had one person that was going to come and come one day, but we'll be there for 5. You know, it's 6 days technically, but it's really going to be 5 days. But that's worked out, and the dog sitter is almost worked out.
Good.
And the COVID shot is on Tuesday, so I'll feel a little bit more comfortable not wearing a mask in Texas.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that we have an amazing old coworker of ours who used to work with us at Emergency Vet Tech. And she comes and she watches the dogs, the cats, the reptiles, the sugar gliders, the chinchillas, the rabbits. I mean, she does it all. We're very, very fortunate to have someone that's comfortable, you know, because we don't do a lot with the snakes, but she comes down, she flips, you know, the monitors down here. She flips the light on in the morning, turns it off at night so that he gets kind of his light cycle. And she checks all the thermostats to make sure like they're all within the right range. You know, we don't have anything weird going on there. And she refills our humidifier, you know, just does all that daily stuff that just makes me feel more comfortable. Knowing that it's checked on and dealt with.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird being away because the one guy's coming that he'll be able to take care of the. Oh, they wear masks in Texas? I thought you don't have to wear a mask in Texas. Where the rodents is the big thing too, you know. So the rodents, they have to be fed on Friday. So, I mean, it's all working out, thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah, we are fortunate that again we have the kind of the two families running the business, so we're very fortunate on that. But our rodents could go probably a week with the food hoppers, maybe not the grow outs, but everything else could probably go a week with the big food hoppers if we loaded them up really well and we wouldn't need to refeed. And then we have automatic water. I don't know if you run off buckets or if you run off an automatic water system, but we're fortunate enough that everything's automatic, so we don't have to worry about that.
I run automatic, so I run the dangerous one where, you know, if a rodent escapes and chews a water line, that tub is flooding because it's more than automatic.
Same. Yep.
Okay,
same.
So you know how it is. So.
Yep. I don't know. Yes. So I don't know. If you flood one tub, do you flood every tub underneath it? Yep. Yeah. So we built ours with our runners. So like the runners that hold the tub, we built our runners like 2 inches short, right? So they don't come all the way to the edge of the tub. They're about 2 inches set back. And what that does is when your tub floods, it bows in the middle, and then it all floods out the front, which really sucks because it makes a big mess, but then you don't flood the tubs underneath it.
Shit. That's a good idea. Yeah, because, I mean, now it's the point where I have surveillance down there.
That's nice.
So I'm always checking.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, Jason from Canadian Reptile Adventures was like, go to Walmart, get a camera for $30, Wi-Fi camera, night vision. And I was like, I went to Walmart. I was like, oh, shit, I get 2 for $50. So I got the 2 for $50. And holy cow, you know, it's It's awesome. It gives you a little bit of security, you know.
Mind at the very least, yeah.
Yeah, but it's worth the risk. You know what I mean? Like,
It is.
it's worth the risk because I fill in water bottles. Like, I
Or
watch
even,
people like they flick them and they can
yeah,
fix that doesn't work for me.
that doesn't work.
As soon as-
Yeah, I've even the bucket system is still, it's so hit or miss. You know, it's like sometimes they drain it in a day, and then sometimes they don't drain it for 3 days. It's just strange
yeah,
how they almost go
I'm
through cycles.
I'm spoiled. I have a 12-quart tub that gives the water to 72 bins. Just one 12-quart tub that's just teed off and split out and going all the way across and down through every single rack. And it works. You know, it's got a refrigerator kit, and then
So you refill the 12-quart tub?
no, I have no. What I did was I bought a refrigerator ice kit, water kit,
Okay.
and then I bought an auto top off float for saltwater sumps.
Yep.
So as soon as it goes down, the pressure from the thing fills it up. As soon as it's up, it's full. And it also works nice as a doser because we like to on occasion throw some organic apple vinegar,
Yep.
apple cider vinegar in their water. And instead of having to go multiple, it's a 12-quart tub. If I drop, 2 cups of vinegar in there, everyone's slowly gonna be getting a nice dose of it, and then it can just clean them out.
Yeah, that's super nice. We just have like a pressure regulator on the end of a water nozzle or, water spout in our building, and everything just runs off the water, one system.
Oh, it's night and day. It's just It sucks if you do get a chewer and you start flooding tubs,
That's a really good idea, ballers, actually. You can drill a hole in the bottom, put a bolt and washer, don't tighten the boat all the way, and then the water will just run out. It's like a overflow system.
But then it would have to be every tub, right?
It's true.
Because then it would have to go through all of them. Yeah, I mean, that would definitely work. I'm thinking about it now. Even if you drill through a bolt, just so that it's open, or you just buy threaded rod and just put a nut on each side, and then it's open center. That's something that may be in my future. At this point, we went the other route and we put that plastic flex guard that's under the wiring under the hood of your car,
right?
And we put that on every fucking thing.
Oh no!
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, it's like we used over 200 feet of it.
Yeah,
and
we don't really get chewers. If something chews at our building, it goes. Chewers breed chewers. Chewers teach other rats to chew. So if it bites or chews, it's pretty much gone. We've culled tubs of 40 grow out breeder females because one rat was chewing.
Yeah, because they learn.
Yep. So if something chews, it goes. If something bites, it goes. So we don't really have too many issues. And then what we actually end up doing, and we kind of learned this on accident, is in every room we have a few different rooms in the building. We leave one bottom tub out. We just leave it empty and leave it open, and we don't have. Very rarely do we have water line issues because the rat will actually go into the tub, drink out of that water nipple if we happen to have a loose rat. And also 9 times out of 10 we end up catching it that way. We go in there in the morning or in the evening and the rat's curled up in the tub of shavings,
We gotta do that.
Yeah,
I can't sacrifice a tub.
Yes.
Right now it's so tight. I need more racks, let alone.
We only have it in one room right now because we're so tight on tub space. So it's definitely hard because it is one tub that you don't need. But yeah, it worked for us. We kind of did it, like I said, on accident one day. We just happened to have an empty tub and left it open, and we'd had a rat that had been chewing a water line every day for a couple weeks. I mean, we'd go in and there would be water lines chewed, and we walked in the next day, no chewed water line, and this rat was just sleeping in the open tub, and it had been drinking out of the water nozzle from the tote. So
I'm gonna do that next time. I mean, right now we're at a point where I'm realizing I breed too much mice and not enough African softers.
Mhm.
So I actually want to downsize. I have 36 stainless steel bins, and I either want to go 24, which I think will be tight, but I want to measure and see if I can go and just get rid of one of them and go 30 of those bins, and then still be able to fit two more racks of rats 6 high.
Run nice.
I mean, I don't know. I like breeding mice. It's so weird.
I like my mice too. Yeah.
I breed them and then I just freeze. I freeze them for people. I don't really feed too much mice, but
I don't any. Well, that's not true. I feed mice to my spotted python hatchlings until they're old enough to take rat pinks. But yeah, people always want mice. People always need mice. And
yeah.
And I actually have a good friend of mine up in Michigan, and she breeds literally show mice. Like, she takes these mice to accredited shows, and that's how she makes a living, is off show mice, show rabbits. Those are her two things that she does. And she will sell me pretty much dirt cheap, like feeder price, all of her rejected show mice, like the mice that aren't good enough to be show mice, And so I've got crazy colors, crazy patterns, crazy hair types, but all of them are extremely healthy because she breeds for health, obviously, too. And they're just prolific breeders. I mean, it's ridiculous how well these mice breed. And that's how I kind of got started in mice, and I've always kept just getting a few mice from her every year, to kind of start some new colonies and do some, more diverse blood and that kind of stuff. But I've got like Merle rats and Roan rats and all black Dumbo rats and like all kinds of crazy stuff. And they're great. I love them. It's like a fun
I like to mess with the morphs. Yeah, I tell people I have just as much fun breeding rodents as breeding ball pythons. When you get the massive litters.
It's almost like instant gratification with the rodents, because it's literally like 60 days and they have another litter, so you can be like, oh, I'm going to put this male with these females and see what comes out of it. And then, a month and a half later, you're like, oh man, this is super cool. Or as opposed to the ball pythons, you're like, all right, I'm going to put this male with these females. I'm going to pair them for 4 to 6 months, and then they're going to ovulate, and then they're going to lay, and a year later, you've got your result, what you were hoping to see. So
we're like really big in the Rex. Like I got my first Rex about 4 years ago, and I started with one and built my collection into like now almost 90% of them are Rex.
Right.
We ran into ones that look like blue nose pit bulls, the tone.
Yep.
Like blue nose pit bulls.
They call them Russian blues.
Is that what they're called?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we started making Dumbo Russian blue Rexes.
Yep.
And then Mythical Exotics, I got the one that has the face is a triangle. It's a white triangle on the face.
Yep.
Started breeding that into those.
Yeah, that's a dominant trait. So I bred pet rats before I bred reptiles. So so I know all the colors and the genetics and the morphs and how all that stuff works. And most of our feeder is actually stemmed from my breeder rodent, my pet breeders, and I used to have some I used to sell rodents I used to sell rats for 80 to 120 bucks a piece. Rats.
Holy shit.
But yeah, I had like Siamese Rexes, and I had Irishes and Berkshires and variegateds. And I had a line of Dalmatian that was just gorgeous. And
I gotta send you some pictures, and you're the one that would know, because I got these new genes that I started producing that I don't know where it came from. It's got to be a recessive gene where they're not hairless; they have like really short fuzz.
Yeah, so depending on, is it all over their body, or do they have like patches?
Whole entire body.
That's interesting. So that is technically a form of hairless. To be honest, are their whiskers curly? Do you know, like off the top of your head?
They may be, but I always figure the curly whiskers were because of the Rex gene.
Exactly. Yeah, I was just gonna say. Yeah. So sometimes your hairless Rexes will look like they have fuzz on them, because even hairless rodents almost have like a peach fuzz on them that we can't really see. But when the Rex makes it curly, it kind of makes it stand up, and they almost look like they have a fuzz look to them. But there's also patchwork rodents, which are different. They are literally, they have spots with hair, and then they have and it doesn't look exactly like rodent hair, but there's spots with hair and then spots where they have no hair. So they might be one or the other. They could be patchwork.
I have those in my collection too. But they only have those. They'll have like nickel size or quarter size missing patches of hair on them.
Okay.
And that is only for a small period of time. It eventually grows in.
Yeah. So a lot of times what you get, is it usually when they're younger, like small to medium?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Small to medium.
Actually what that is it's them dropping a baby coat and growing in an adult coat, almost like puppies go through that puppy coat transition from a puppy coat to an adult coat. So some just grow in like that. They grow in a little different. But the patchwork rodents look like that forever. They're super cool. Yeah, that's what I
was thinking my chin. These guys, don't worry. I'm gonna shrivel up like a supermodel soon. My new diabetes medicine is not getting me sick, and it's curbing my diet.
Nice.
Yeah. And speaking about mustache, when I didn't shave for 3 months and grew a pitiful mustache, now I got to shave twice a week. So I'm moving up in the world.
Yes.
It's all in the same area. It's only here, and here, and a little bit over here. But
it's a patchwork.
It's I gotta take what I get. That's great news. You see that? It's not though, because now I'm like actually like I could ride out a razor blade for like 2 months. Because all I'm doing is just a little quick, But now it seems like they're only lasting me like 3 weeks. And razor blades are fucking expensive.
Yes, they are. Yep.
So stupid. It's the stupidest things that we have to pay for these days. Like gloves. Disposable gloves is one of my I'm so furious about, because they price gouge the shit out of disposable gloves.
And masks. Disposable masks too.
Yeah. And it's like, it's sad,
Yep.
I used to get 1,000 gloves, 10 packs of 100 for $23. And now you can't get them under $120 for a case. And that's wholesale.
Holy crap.
Yeah, they're 120 a case. And I was like flipping out in the store. I was when it went to like $55, I was furious. And then the next time it went up to 123, and I was like, it's literally $100 more than what it was 2 years ago. Yeah. You guys
everything is going up. It's crazy.
I know plastic's going up now.
But yeah,
plastic's supposed to go up 20%. So give me him. I want to see him.
Wood? Holy crap, the price of wood has gone up like crazy.
I know, and I have so much shit I want to build. I have so much. The two rat rack.
Yep, rat racks. This is the crazy thing. When we did the renovation in the rat building, it was cheaper for us to use metal studs than it was to use wooden ones. So we ended up doing everything with like metal studs it's just insane to think that metal would be cheaper. It was like half the cost than of the wood, and I'm like, really? You'd think it would not be so crazy.
So, like in upstate New York, I don't know, they're over there somewhere. Find them. And a knife. I just made a new design for the 3D water bowls.
Nice.
And I did. So I ran into an issue where the original design of the ring didn't fit in a VE 108 in the small one, the 8 series one.
Okay.
So that's a major issue because that's where it's supposed to go to. So I shrunk it, and I can see it's a failure. So the tabs are too small, but at least this is less than 3.5 inches. So this will fit in in one of those tubs, So I've been just messing around with all the other stuff. He didn't get my knife, that little prick. And then testing out other stuff. It's crazy because how many prints you have to do until you have like a product. And it's just, I don't know. I need to just leave it alone. The designs are fine, other than that issue with the 3.5 inch, which I already know if I can modify them for that. If someone wants to do special orders for those, and I can just modify them and grind down the edges so that it will fit that tub, which I think is going to end up happening. It points right, hits the spot. I'm trying to catch up on the reading. Chad's been quiet tonight. I'm surprised.
Yeah. So what Chad said, my wood is expensive. And then let's see who answered.
Family Dollar expensive.
Jerome said Chad's wood, cheapest wood around, crooked as Home Depot wood.
That's fucking funny. Naughty Pine Chad. He has to work it out the knots daily.
Oh, shit.
So, what double recessive projects do you have going on right now?
So, this year we're working on, sorry, I'm like looking at my racks. Lavender genetic stripes is what I'm pretty excited about. Should hopefully get some visuals on those this year. Clown pieds, hypopieds, potentially some double het hypo clown stuff. I've got genetic stripe pieds I'm making double hets for this year. Possibly some monarch pieds. So pretty excited about that. A lot of pied stuff. Awesome. A lot of pied. So a lot of pied with other things.
You're already getting monarch into a double recessive project.
Yeah, so not last season, so 2019, I produced a trio of double het monarch pieds. I was lucky I had a female pastel monarch to a pied. She gave me 3 good eggs. I got a double het male, a double het female, and a pastel double het female. So I was super lucky. I hit the 1.2 out of 3 eggs. So I was really excited about that. Yep. And then last year I have 2 het monarch girls. Both are siblings. They both came from Rants. And my pastel monarch boy came from Tom Harbin. I had bred both of them last year. They both went for me, pastel monarch to het monarchs. And out of this one girl, and she's really interesting looking. She's super reduced pattern. A lot darker than her sister, things like that. She threw some really weird looking visual and het monarchs. Same thing, just super clean, super bright, just super interesting. If you put like the two clutches side by side, you can easily pick out who came from what clutch, other than a couple animals. But it's pretty obvious on a couple of them. And then there's another person I know in the Monarch Project. They ended up hitting. They got all their stuff originally from rants. Tom Harbin hit a pied in a Monarch 2 pied clutch one year, and just kind of, it was a female that he had bought as a sub-adult. And he just kind of racked it up to maybe the guy paired her previously, you know, and it was some retained sperm. Then there's another gentleman in the UK that ended up with a pied to a pastel Monarch to pied pairing. So we're kind of wondering if maybe Rance had some pied floating around that he didn't know about, or what exactly was up with that. We don't know. But because of these weird-looking monarchs that I got, they have trackers all along their belly. I mean, like if I was to show it to someone, I took my double het monarch pied male and threw it to that female this year, just to kind of see what happens, just because I know a few other people have some pies floating around in their monarch stuff. I said, worst case scenario, I'm going to produce hopefully some visual monarchs. I said, best case scenario, she proves out to be pied. Even if I don't hit a pied monarch, even if I just hit a pied in the clutch, just to prove her out, I'll be extremely excited. I said, but if I go 3 years from now, or 4 or 5 years, and I happen to put her to a pied, or have a monarch pied, or a pied het monarch, or whatever, and throw it to her, and find out I had a double het monarch pied for 5 years and never did anything with it.
You're gonna be like,
so figured I might as well try it, see what happens. Next year, I should be aiming for the Monarch Hypo. Should be next season. I should have a chance at that. So I'm super excited for that one as well.
Hell yeah. I mean, you're really mixing it in with stuff. I like everything with hypo. Hypo is...
I'm same way. I like it in clown. I like it in pied. I like it in genetic stripe. I like it in DG. I like it in monarch, ultramel. I mean, you name it. It needs hypo.
Yeah, I have it in a pied project, clown project. I traded and acquired a snake that I didn't really have interest, but the deal was good, and it was for a breeder-sized male Mojave genetic stripe orange ghost.
Nice.
And I was like, I benched him for a year. I can't believe I did. And then I was like, you know what? Let me breed him to this pastel. And then last year I bred him, and I'm like, all right, now this year I'm breeding him because it's blue. It's a blue snake.
Yep.
It's you know,
they're really cool. Really interesting. Yeah. I remember, to be completely honest, when we got in this industry or in the hobby, I hated hypo. I'd only ever seen pictures of it. And guys, pictures have come a long way in 7 years. I mean, they've progressed so drastically. I saw it in pictures and I didn't get it. I was like, why is this so cool? Hypo is so hard to capture. So hard to capture on photos. And then we went to our first Tinley, and I saw hypo and several hypo combos, hypo GHI being one of them, in person. I was like, this looks nothing like the picture. Like, the picture I saw was just this crappy looking snake. It looked like a normal, pretty much. And then seeing him in person, I just fell in love and started buying up pretty much everything hypo I could find.
Yeah, I've learned that the best way to show the details of a hypo is to actually record video.
Yep.
And then screenshot off the video, and that gives you pretty much as close as you're going to get.
Yeah, I've noticed, I use a very white light. White light seems to help a lot. Like this ring light that I have, I seem to be able to capture things very well. And then just having them on a very plain background. Like it's really hard to get their true colors if they're on like Reptichip or some kind of substrate. Like you really need a solid color background. It's almost like the camera can't differentiate between the colors. That either adds too much saturation or not enough.
We got a question from Cuddle Time. Oh, I didn't hit it. Gator Nuggets. Oh, yeah. What do you guys think about doing recessive year after to Kodam? Like 1 year do a pie, next year do a clown. I'm kind of confused on the question.
Yeah. What do you guys think about doing recessive year after to a Kodam? Oh, okay. So she's saying like if you have a Kodam, right? So say you have like, I don't know, like mahogany, right? And you do 1 year you do mahogany to pie, then the next year you do that mahogany to a clown. I think that's what they're asking. Like if you have a Kodam and you do a recessive to them year after year. Is that?
I think that.
Okay.
I think you're right.
Okay.
What they're saying.
So, I mean, I guess it depends on what the Kodam is or combo of Kodams is. I will say I put pretty much all my Kodam girls to recessives because usually if I have a snake that isn't het or isn't visual,
yes.
it's because I'm keeping it specifically to put those Kodams into one or multiple recessive projects.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm on the same page. I think it all varies on whether or not you want that Kodam in that recessive project because you want to breed, you know, like when people say, oh, I don't do hets. Like, so then how the fuck do you introduce new genes to your collection? You're not on the 5-year program. You're on the, you know, let me buy visuals and make visuals with visual.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if I feel like my this certain black pastel has something going for it, and I want to see that in clown now. You know, I'm gonna breed to that. But I do try to. I think there's a happy medium when it comes to overall of how much recessives you want to go for and how many Kodams you want to go for. Because me personally, I would say 75% of my pairing is for holdbacks, and then 25 is for selling.
Yeah. Yes. So they say you should have at least 10% of your clutches, a whole clutch. Yeah. So Cuddle Time said I'm worried about retained sperm. Yeah, I would be concerned about that a little bit too. So to be completely honest, so that's definitely something to be concerned about. Especially if they didn't lay the year before, right? That's a hard one. I mean, if it was me, if I didn't have something that was super, like a super pastel clown or a super pastel killer pied or something, I probably wouldn't risk it. I would throw something else that was the same visual towards it because personally, if that happened to me, I might keep it back, like being like, all right, I'm pretty sure this is going to be het clown, right? But I would never sell it as het clown because it might be het pied. Yeah, that's definitely a concern.
Yeah, I knock on wood, I've never had a retained sperm clutch. It's never happened to me. Now it's only, you know, I don't have double digits in my years, but I've bred multiple males to a female, and noticed that the male that locks closest to ovulation typically fertilizes those babies.
Yes. It's true. Very typically. Because I'm even as extreme though to be like, so this year I have my 2 het monarch girls, and I had the double het monarch pied and a firefly calico het monarch. I was very fortunate that both of those boys did their job this year. But you know, my plan was to back them up with my pastel monarch. That was kind of my whole plan. If I didn't see any visual locks, I would back them up with my pastel monarch. I have gotten clutches from snakes that I never saw a visual lock on. And I check them twice a day. I just have some boys that are they're Minutemen, I guess, because they're very quick.
That's what I call Minutemen.
Yeah. So personally, like, even in my opinion, if I was putting my Firefly Calico het male in, and I didn't see him locking, I didn't think he was doing his job, so I backed him up with a pastel monarch, I would not sell and I saw visual locks of the pastel monarch, but I didn't see visual locks of the Firefly Calico. I would not sell those babies as het. Because what are the chances, and there is a chance that I missed the lock or two from that one het male, and he happened to take the clutch, you know? I mean, is it a slim chance? Yes, it's a very slim chance, right? Especially if all I got in the clutch is like normals, pastels, and visuals, you know, and he didn't pass on fire or calico. Are the chances very slim? Yes, but would I feel even worse knowing I sold someone a het, and then for whatever reason it was the one baby out of that clutch that was sired by that other male? And they spent all that time and money raising it up to breed it, and then it didn't improve. Like, to me, it's not worth it. Even though I know for a fact they're probably 100% het, there's that, you know, it's the one time that you are so sure that it's going to bite you. Right? It's never the time that you're being cautious. It's that one time that you're like, man, it has to be sired by this boy. And then it screws you over.
Yeah, I try to, especially if it's something I know I'm going to be selling offspring out of, if I'm going to go multi-sire with a recessive, both parents have to be visual of the same recessive. I won't go with another one because it's a nightmare.
Again,
damn it. I'm sorry to hear that, buddy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as bad, it's everyone that's a breeder that's been doing this for more than 2 years, 3 years. It happens. The fucking healthiest snake will flip over on you.
Yeah. It's super, super unfortunate. Seller regret? Yeah, hell yeah. David has several of my snakes that I have seller regret from.
I was going to say, you sold them a lot of females on that crazy, what was it, 32 snakes between you and someone else that went to Dave?
Me and Troy. Yep.
It's nuts.
Yeah, I sold several females, and they were, a couple of them were ones that I didn't want to let go, that was for sure, but I ended up selling those, and then I purchased my Desert Ghost Mario Orange Dream Spot Nose male. So,
yeah.
It was
for the future.
Grade. Yeah, it was a decent, you know, rhyme and reason behind it.
Dave's caused a lot of seller's remorse, I believe, in the reptile community.
I believe that as well. I don't really have a lot of seller's remorse. Like I said, I sold off some single gene visual girls that I wish I wouldn't have. I'm pretty picky. If I want to keep it, I usually keep it. Worst case scenario, I grow it up, decide I don't need it, and I sell it for more than I would have gotten out of it anyway. So I don't have a whole lot of seller's remorse, and I don't sell to people that I don't want to sell to. Like, you know, we've been at snake shows before, and someone walked up to me, and I had a Passave breeder size female, proven breeder girl on my table, and I had her marked for $250 3 or 4 years ago. And the guy walked up and he's talking about how, he's such this big breeder and he's breeding all these ball pythons, and I start kind of talking to him and stuff, and he's keeping all of his ball pythons in 125-gallon tank.
Nice.
Like, all these 3 or 4 breeder-sized females, 2 or 3 breeder-sized males, and then 12 hatchlings, anywhere from small hatchling to sub-adults, all in one enclosure. And I'm like, might be a good idea to separate, cohabbing, and, I'm like, they can become cannibalistic, and you're keeping multiple different sizes. And he's like, well, I've seen locks with my pied and my het pied male, and I've seen locks with this girl and this male, and I'm like, those are the ones that you've seen. Like, which ones are you missing? And you have no idea what these babies are going to be, He's like, oh, no, I've got 24-hour video surveillance, and I know la-da-da and all this stuff, and I've been keeping them this way for 4 months and never had an issue. And
4 months he knows.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, at this point, I'm just over it. This guy's pretty much telling me that I'm stupid and that this is how everyone does it and la-da-da-da-da. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. And then he starts asking me about that Pastave female. And I don't want to be rude, so I'm kind of like, yeah, and I made shit up. She's a shitty eater, she hasn't laid for me for 3 years, think 8 every week, laid 3 clutches for me 3 consecutive years, I'm like, you don't want this steak, and he's like, no, I want her, and he comes back over, and he's like, I'll give you $200 cash, $250 on her, and I was like, no, I'm like, I really need $250 out of her. And he's like, well, you just said that she's a shitty eater and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's just, I got her marked $250. I really want $250 out of her and stuff. And I mean, just practically refused to sell it to this guy. And he's like, well, let me go see if my buddy has any money, and so he runs off, and this kid comes up, and he's just starting off with his dad and stuff. He's like, we're just getting started, and we're looking for girls. And he's like, he's been saving his money all summer or whatever, and the kid had $125.
Sold.
I sold it. I sold it to the kid, and I talked to it for 20 minutes, and they had a rack system, and the kid had done all this research, and was really, you could tell that the kid was really knowledgeable for, I think the kid, he's probably 12 or 13 years old, he was probably 12 or 13, and has been mentioned some names, he'd been watching Kabolka and Billy and of course Brian Barczyk and all these people, and says yeah, he's just so passionate about it, and I'm like, dude, take her. That's what. And I said, you know what, even better yet, I think I had a male pastel or maybe a male Mojave or something on the table. I think I gave him the pair because he wanted to make Blue-Eyed Lucy. That's why he wanted her. So it must have been a Mojave male. And I was like, dude, take both. You got the pair.
Oh, yeah.
Got her $25, And the guy came over, was like, oh, you sold it? I'm like, yeah, man. The guy just walked up, paid me $250 for,
Have you ever had to, other than that, have you had other scenarios where you decline to sell to a person?
Yes. Yeah, I've refused to sell to people because someone told them that they could keep their ball python in a critter keeper on their dresser with no heat.
Oh, fuck that.
And you know what? And I'm like, dude, no. Yeah, and I did. And it was not, it wasn't a super expensive sale by any means, but I want to say he was looking at a pastel pied or something. So, $250, $300 snake, And yeah, I mean, I was just like, no, man, not only is the chances that the animal's going to get sick and die really high, but in my opinion, then you have this whole where this person could come back, right, and be like, oh, I bought a snake from Royal Reptiles and it wouldn't eat and it got arrested, it had a respiratory infection and it got this and had that and then it died, and I just try not to deal with that as much as possible. We try to educate as much as we can in a way.
But you got to protect your babies. You know, I've been there. I had someone wanting. It was probably my first or second year as a breeder. Doing vending, and they're like, "Oh, I got a 55-gallon set up. I got a night light, and I got heat on both sides, and I have caves and branches for it to climb."
Yep.
And I'm like, "But this is a 150-gram snake." And
Yep.
they're like, "Oh yeah, but it'll be fine. This, they live in the wild. They do." And I'm like, "But this isn't a wild snake. This is a captive bred snake. This snake lives in a 6-quart tub."
Yeah.
And it's lived in this 6-quart tub for 8 months. And you're going to put it in this big tank. Oh, it'll be fine. I'm like, yeah, well, what happens when the snake doesn't eat? Then it's my problem. Oh, it won't be your problem. I swear. I say it's not going to be your problem because I'm not fucking selling it to you. And I try to stay as PG as possible. But this guy got on my fucking nerves. And I pretty much told him, no, I'm not selling you anyone, not one of my animals. Oh, I'll put it in a rack. I'm like, I don't care. Go find. I told them that there was plenty of vendors to pick a snake from.
Yep.
I'm not one of them.
I try to educate people on tanks the best I can. As long as they've got like a heat mat and a lot of clutter and a light and ceramic heat emitter. I tell them don't use light. Got to be a ceramic heat emitter because the bright light just doesn't work. And I always tell them, I'm like, look, this thing's not gonna eat. Like, you're going to have to go get a smaller enclosure. I said, that might be great for it in 2 or 3 years when it's full grown. They might be okay in a 125-gallon tank, depending on the snake. But you're going to need a smaller tank. And I've sent them home. And sure enough, like, they messaged me. And luckily, I've never had anyone be like, oh, your snake doesn't eat. But they're like, you're right. It's not eating. What do I do? And I'm like, you have to go out and buy all this stuff again, to make it work. And I actually just had a gentleman that bought a snake for me as a pet. He bought a banana inchi from me as a pet. And this snake was a little nippy. Like, when we had him at home, he wasn't bad, but he was a little nippy. The guy went home, put him in an Exoterra. His parameters were perfect. He blacked out all the sides. It wasn't a huge Exoterra, it was like a 20 long equivalent. So a little on the big side, but not like overly huge.
Yeah, not extreme.
All this clutter, did all this stuff, and the snake was eating for him every week. Like, the snake looked great, and he's like, the snake just hates me. He's like, I can't get it out. I can't handle it. I got this snake to have something to do with my son, and he's terrified of it because the damn thing bites him every time we try to get it out. My wife didn't want a snake to begin with, and I told her how great ball pythons were. She walks by the tank. She walked, and he's in a back room in our house. Like, there's not a lot of foot traffic. She's like, if she has to walk by the tank, the damn thing hits the tank, like, out of the tub.
Oh,
like,
my God.
Like, this thing is just angry all the time. And so I was like, hey, I'm really sorry. I said, I have an inchy banana pastel. So add pastel. I'm like, he's super sweet. I get him out for my daughter all the time. He's really easygoing. He's a great eater. Like, why don't you just bring me the banana inchi and I'll trade him out? I said, if you're, because he even asked, he's like, can I come over and you can show me some handling techniques? That was his big thing. He's like, I just don't know. He's like, I've tried everything. I've watched the Kapulka video I sent him, the aggressive ball python one, the old one that he had. He said, some people told me to put him in a pillowcase and like chill with him on my couch while I watch a movie and just like let him be, and he'll kind of get used to being around. And like, he's like, this thing's biting me through the bag. Like, it's striking through the pillowcase, He's like, I just don't know what to do. And so I'm like, hey, just come and I'll trade out. Yeah, I sent him a picture. I'm like, if you're really just too nervous to handle him, I was like, just let me know, we could trade him out. And he did. He traded him out. And that snake now is up in quarantine. It's fat, happy. It's obviously been eating. The guy's had it for like 4 or 5 months now, He's awesome. Super, super chill. And, he's doing a lot better in the rack system. It's not my banana I sold on you. It's just a banana. But anyway, he's still nippy. Like, the damn thing, you walk by the quarantine rack upstairs and you can hear him like clunk, like he hits the damn tub, And we've got the opaque tubs. Like, he literally he knows you're going by and he hits it. But the guy's super happy. kid likes a snake. The other one's doing great. It ate this Friday, you know. But it's just,
It's awesome.
yeah, you know, it's just you gotta work with people. And my biggest thing to this guy was he had kept in contact with me literally from like after the first 3 or 4 days that he had the animal. You know, he sent me pictures, wanted to make sure everything was set up correctly. So that's what I have to say to people when you're working with a seller. Communication is key. Don't reach out to me 5-6 months later when I've had no idea that there's ever been an issue, and then start being like, what do I do because it hasn't eaten in 6 months? Or what do I do because it's a dick? You know, like what do I do about this situation? You know, communication is
I like
key.
I like to call those the asshole snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 1 out of 100.
Yeah.
You know, like
if that even, you know, it's just,
yeah, it's crazy.
This is the first ball python that we've had that just won't chill. Like, he just won't. There is no convincing him that this is okay. He just does not agree.
We have a female clown that I bought, and the price was right.
Yep.
I mean, I bundled up. I with this person, it was with Boa Basement. I got a lot of heavy hitters, a lot of spot nose clowns and females. It was all females. I got 2 males out of the whole ordeal.
Nice.
And this little fucking clown, since day one, thinks that it's a fucking viper. Because as soon as you go in, it postures up and it's hissing at you. And one of my YouTube videos, I put the wireless mic next to the snake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, look how friendly this snake is. And she's like, hey, he's striking. And
oh my gosh.
And now she's like 800 grams. Complete asshole. Like you can't even put your face near the tub. When you open the tub, I make the mistake of like sliding the lower tubs, and then my arm is exposed for a bite.
Yep.
This one, I'm like fucking sliding the tub like that because I know that little shit's gonna come out and strike at me.
I have a flamingo sunglow call boa female that I got on a really good deal. She's gorgeous. I mean, she's just drop dead gorgeous. Cannot get a picture of the bitch though to save my life. This boa chases me around my snake room when I am trying to get her out to like clean her enclosure. Like, she just literally will just, I mean, she's like a cobra. She just chases you. I have a video of me throwing paper towel rolls at her because she is chasing me through my snake room, and she's like striking at me. She's 6-7 feet long, you know, this big around. She's almost she's breeding size this year. And I just like, I mean, this snake is vicious. She is 100% vicious. And it's insane. I don't have, all my other boas are like puppy dogs. I can reach in, grab them out, play with them. Like, they're super chill. And I know now why I got her on such a good deal. I got a really good deal on her. And then I have a friend that gave me a hypo berm. I happened to be over at his house, and he breeds birds. I'm like, man, I just love the hypo berms. Like, I really would love to have one someday. And the next time he came over, he showed up with one, and he's like, here, you can have her. And I was like, oh, dude, that's so sweet. No, this thing is like psycho. I'm like, dude, and I'm like, I know why you gave her to me now. And he's like, yeah, she's kind of mean. And I'm like, kind of. Like, I'm not looking forward to this snake being 18 feet long. Like, she's terrifying.
Yeah, and berms, like my bad experience where I had a 12-foot, I was on a step stool going to grab a 12-foot berm for a customer to buy. I was 18 years old. That berm was really nice, but when the manager's son started working there, when I wasn't around, he was throwing rats in there, and that was the old school way. And yes, I've heard people both talk shit about it on live streams, but back in the day, we didn't feed snakes in tanks, and when you don't feed a snake in a tank, it's not tank aggressive. It is true. That does make them not tank aggressive. So I've reached my arm in this fucking tank so many times, never got bit. Never. I'm on the step stool. They're like, oh, we're really interested in that female berm. I reach my arm in. This bitch bites my wrist, coils around, points its cloaca at me, and shits on my chest. And I start screaming like a fucking 5-year-old girl. I was just like, ah! Fucking snakes on me. I got wet, nasty shit all over my uniform. And these people are looking at me like, what the fuck is going on here? They did not buy the snake.
Yeah.
And I went home and showered and went back to work. And I was like, they're like, punch out. I'm like, fuck you, punch out. I'm getting paid for this drive home
for this.
shower.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And that was my worst. That's the only species of snake that's bit me and actually well, actually no, because I got caught by a king snake, but it didn't defecate on me. But the boa, but the fucking berm. Oh
yeah.
My god.
I have her, the hypo berm, and then I have another berm, actually from the same guy. I purchased the berm off of him, and she's so sweet. Like, I love her. She's awesome. It's just they have such different personalities. It's crazy. You know, I've got one that's like, don't touch me, and God forbid. So I'm trying to get them switched over to rabbits right now. That's my big thing. I want them on frozen rabbit kits, and they're on frozen rats. And the one girl takes the rabbits just fine. Like, she's all for it. And then the hypo berm, if I as much as put a rabbit kit in her enclosure, she starts flailing around like she's having a damn seizure. Like, I don't even know.
Really?
Like, her body arcs and all these weird, like she's a contortionist and she's hitting all the sides of her tank and she's like freaking out. I'm like, it's a rabbit. Like, calm down. She
oh my god.
hisses and freaks out and throws her body all over the place, like just like she's having a damn seizure. And then I can take the rabbit out, wait 10 minutes, offer a frozen thawed rat, eats it just like that. Like, no hesitation, no problems. I don't know what it is about rabbits, but she's not having it.
Have you tried the train trick? You know, where they're eating one and then you slip the other one.
I have not tried that yet. No, but I
would think that, or even just thawing out the fucking rabbit in like a shit-filled rodent bin. You know,
I could try that. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's the strangest thing. I've never had a snake react in such like a strange way. It is super weird.
Yeah, I mean,
and of course I'm asking people, and they're like, and I have like a video of it, I think, somewhere, and they're like, yeah, I don't know what's up with that, you know. She's just strange. She's really strange.
That's. I do want to. I mean, like, I really want a retic.
Same.
That's why where we move, we'll definitely. I don't think I want to breed retics. I'd love to go to someone's house and have the pleasure of pulling a female off of eggs.
Yes.
I do want to experience that. But
we've talked about getting a pair, like, even for, I have the 2 Burmese girls. We've talked about getting a male or even doing a breeder loan with a buddy. We talked kind of about doing the same thing with retics, but if I did, it would definitely be like a once every, like, maybe 3 to 5 years. I might do it once and decide not to do it again. It's definitely not something I want to get into on like a regular or, you know, yearly basis even. They're just so big. I just know so many people that probably own berms and retics that make me nervous. Or, you know, they've got them shoved in a 4-foot enclosure or something. You know, it's just, they get big and they get big quickly.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't think like 2 to 3 years would sneak up on you fast, but when you think about it, it really does. We were just talking about that earlier. We're already into April of 2021. I'm like, how is like a fourth of the year already gone? This does not make sense.
Yeah, and that's like because you're in a cold part of the world as well, so the country as well. It's not even warm out, and we've had a shitty winter this year. I know I think everyone pretty much had a shitty winter in the States this year. Like now that it's warming up, days go by even fucking faster. Yeah,
it's insane.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and we're in the fun time of our year where it's like 25 degrees at night, and then it's like 70 during the day. So it's just,
see, I like that.
Yeah, it's nice. And I do like it because you can like open the windows at night or during the evening and whatever, like get some air flowing and cools off and stuff. But for the reptiles, it's interesting because I get people are like, why can't you ship at 70 degrees? I'm like, yeah, at noon, and then by 10 o'clock at night, it's like 24, you know? And they're probably at the airport at that point. So
yeah, that's why I didn't ship this week, because I was supposed to ship out 2 animals on Tuesday, but the lows hit 20s. It was 29 degrees, and I'm like, and then I'm shipping to Florida where the weather's hot, and I don't want to put a heat pack in just in case it gets stuck in Florida.
Yeah.
And you know how that goes, where it's like there is no right answer. It's just whatever your gut tells you to do.
Yep.
And then you just fucking go for it.
Yeah, you know, that's what I try to do. I try to do pick up at Hub if I can, almost always. I'm dealing with that right now. I donated a KRG lesser yellow belly male to the Texas relief auction on Morph Market. And the gentleman that won it has been very cooperative and you know, and very patient. But I told him, I was like, you know, I would really like to ship to a Hub if we're going to ship anytime soon, just because of weather issues. And he's like 2.5 hours from his nearest Hub.
It sucks.
You know, so he's like, you know, I've always done ship to address and that kind of stuff. I'm like, that's fine. But then I'm telling you, like, you're going to be waiting for this snake until at least probably May. You know, just because kind of Midwest, I'm like, if it's going to go all the way to your house, especially with how delayed shipping's been and stuff, like, I just want to be 100% sure that it's going to make it there, you know? And so, yeah, you know, he's totally understand and, you know, really good with it. I've just been keeping in contact and sending pictures and updating and that kind of stuff. But,
yeah,
you know, if it wouldn't have been an auction win, I probably would have not sold the snake. Yeah, I would have said, no, you have to pick it up at a Hub or you're not getting the animal. Kind of my mistake. I probably should have put something like that in the description, like ship to Hub only, you know, pick up and stuff like that. But lesson learned. Lesson learned. We'll see what happens. And you know,
I mean, you can see if they have a PO box.
Foolproof.
Yeah, I've heard of people getting it shipped to like their own mail postal spot that's closer to them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like I can get anything shipped to my PO box. I don't ship snakes. I go to the Hub and pick it up because I just I also like it getting at the Hub because the snake's in my hands sooner.
Yes.
Even though it's 45 minutes, but I'll take it.
Yep.
But there's my buddy, he lives, you know, up north, and so he's like 40 minutes from me. So now it's an hour and a half to the Hub for him. So he gets the snakes mailed to where his PO box is, which is like a mom and pop mail spot. Just an idea for an option, because you know.
Yeah, I might have to look into how that would work. But yeah, definitely interesting. I bet that would be kind of a case to case basis, but still definitely something to look into if we can't. And the thing is there's like a fully staffed FedEx Hub there, but it's like a print shop, like a FedEx print store, but they accept like drop-offs for packages and stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so we have one near us, and I had a snake shipped to it once, and they told us, even though it says they do overnight deliveries and stuff. Like they're marked on their website and everything that they do it, you know, through FedEx. But we had to ship there and they're like, hey, we can't do packages like this. You know, we're not zoned for, you know, they're not certified for that through FedEx or something, which I thought was really strange. But they have one of those like 15 minutes from them. So I called, I was like, hey, it says you guys accept overnight express packages. Like, would I be able to ship this to your facility? And they're like, no, we'll send it back. Like, we don't accept those kind of shipments here. And I'm like, but you're a FedEx shipping hub that says you accept overnight express. And they're like, yeah, but we don't do any form of live animal. I'm like, all right. Just strange.
You should just stay there and just wait for the truck to pull up.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But
we got a question far back.
Some are interesting.
How are pairings or locks has everyone had so far?
That's a really good question. I think I'm like at 52 pairings this year.
Is that's already done, or that's the end game?
That's the end game. But I think I only have like 6 or 7 of those that aren't ready, like are later in the season. So pretty much everything has been locking. My latest girl last year was at the end of November, I think. So I won't start pairing her for another couple months. But like a lot of my stuff that late in September, I'll start pairing here because I always go 7 months after the lay date.
That's when you start the pairing.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying that this year. I think I like that concept, and I just think that not every female can handle that. You know, it's all about whoever recovers their first meal.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that 7 months, as long as they're back up to weight, eating well, showing signs. Yeah, definitely. And we have an ultrasound machine, so that makes it simpler as well. Just because we can, you know, I can always ultrasound and see what they're looking like. Are we growing follicles? Are we not? You know, I'll throw one pairing on them. If I ultrasound them and I don't see anything, I'll wait an extra month. You know, if they're still going strong and now they're starting to show signs, they're cool seeking, bull wrapping, that kind of stuff. You know, I'll throw another pairing on them, ultrasound them again. If I don't see anything, then I kind of start to consider that she might be taking the year off. You know, around that time. You know, if I put 2 pairings on and in 3 months I don't see any growth, chances are, you know, she's probably not going to go that year. Not impossible, but usually by then I would expect to at least see 10 to 12 millimeter follicles, even if they're just something residual. There's usually something there, but if I'm getting just nothing on the ultrasound, you know, I kind of expect that she's taking a year off. I actually have a female. It's going for me this year. She's gone for me. This will be her 7th year. This girl has never missed a year for me.
That's awesome.
And last year she gave me 9 eggs, but the year before that she gave me 19. All good eggs. 19, all good eggs. All went through incubation. All hatched out. The year before that she gave me 15. And the year before that she gave me 12. And I believe the 2 years before that, she gave me, I think her first clutch was 8 and her second clutch was 10. So it was 8, 10, 12, 15, 19, and then 9 last year. So, this girl's she's a Mohawk spider. And she just does her thing. And I was going to give her this year off. I actually didn't pair her because, you know, it's a lot of stress on a female. I didn't even pair her till she was at 19.5 millimeter follicles. I hadn't paired her since she last laid. Like, I was just ultrasounding her because she was showing all the signs. And I ultrasounded her, and she was at 19.5 millimeters, which I've never had a female have that much follicle growth without some kind of pairing stimulation, pretty much, right? Because usually, like, people say we put our last lock on at like 24, 25 millimeters. I got 2 locks on this girl, and she just had her post-ovulation shed on the 31st of March. So 3/31, she had her post-ovulation shed. I only put 2 locks on her, and you know, I figured she was building so quickly and so well that I'm pretty sure she would have gone, whether I put lock on her or not. I would have gotten slugs out of her. And so, you know, if a female's going through the motions that much, they're already exerting so much energy just to grow the follicles and go through the motions. It seemed kind of pointless for me to almost try to force her to take the year off. I wasn't going to force her to grow follicles. Like, I was going to let her grow. But, you know, if they're building like that, they are putting so much energy into it that it wouldn't be beneficial for me to give her the year off if she was building that quickly and that hard, because her body would have gone through just as much stress, pretty much.
Absorbing it and all,
Yeah, to reabsorb and everything. So I paired her this year, and we'll see what happens. I really just usually use her to make bells. She's kind of my bell making girl. Last year I bred her to a Cinder Spectre, which was kind of an interesting clutch. We got some cool stuff out of that. This year I put her to a Banana Lesser Inchy Het Clown. She's usually one of my 10% reinvestment clutches. Spiders, guys, so greatest pets. People love spider. They're always my first thing to sell out at shows. And then, of course, you got bells and bananas and the combinations thereof. So she actually gave me my first ever female banana. It was a banana mohave. It was in that 19 egg clutch, and it was not a female maker banana. I had, out of 19 eggs, I had 11 banana combos out of 19 eggs, and all 10 of them were male and 1 was female.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I got her, and that was 3 years ago. She just laid her first clutch for me yesterday.
Oh,
and
nice.
So, yeah, I bred her. She's a banana mohave that I bred to a KRG leopard phantom posse yellow belly pied.
Oh, shit.
So I'm excited for that clutch. She gave me 7 good eggs, so I'm pretty happy with that for a first year female. And now to wait the painful 60 days for them to hatch out.
I got one lonely clutch in the incubator, and it's on day 46 already.
Nice.
I can't believe it. I didn't even like. It's so bad. It's funny how, like, when you pull eggs, sometimes you're just on top of everything with all the documentation, sire, dame, all that. So this clutch, I was in Virginia when it laid.
Those are always the worst.
My wife doesn't really like. She'll see me when we clean the snakes and I'm holding the snake. She'll be like, "Oh, here, hand me that one," but she'll never like reach into a snake tub, you know. And I'm like, "Well, Amanda, I'm like, it's your call, but she needs to come off those eggs." And I couldn't believe it. She took the eggs, the mom off the eggs.
Oh, that's awesome.
She put them in the incubator. She put the lay date. And then I was like, oh, I'll go back, because we always put everyone's names on and all that shit. And then today I was like, oh, it's denting. I'm like, it's got to be, or yesterday, I'm like, it's got to be day 45. It's like day 44, day 45 is when my denting always kicks in.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's got to be close. And so I asked my Alexa, and I'm like, holy shit, 45 days.
That's awesome. Yeah, some of those clutches are I always try to, I'm a very big advocate for place them and forget them.
Set it and forget it.
I put them in the incubator. I make sure they're all embryo side up and all that fun stuff. And then I just put them in my incubator and I forget about them. You know, and I rotate mine up So like the first clutch is always the first one due, you know, so I always know going down. So literally I can look at like the first kind of row of clutches, and then I don't even have to focus on like everything else down, because I know none of that's due yet. You know, don't even look at it. Don't even worry myself about it. And it definitely works better that way. You know, I'd be down here every day, like, you know, I never opened them, but looking in the door and trying to see them, and, you know, being all, man, you just drive yourself crazy with the anticipation. And then, you know, Brandon and I have touched on this too. It's always the clutches that you have the really high expectations for that, like, I don't want to say they tend to be like, oh man, that kind of sucks. But, you know, when you've got your expectations like so high that you're going to get, like we were talking about earlier, I'm going to get this many males and this many visuals and this many females and this many with this gene in it and stuff, you kind of like build your hype so big that it can never live up to that expectation, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And then it's the clutches that I usually am not super excited about. Like I made the pairing. Like I think it might make some cool stuff. I don't know. You know, I'm just kind of throwing it in there for just, you know, kind of see what pops out. Those always seem to be the clutches that I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. Look at this. You know, it's almost like your expectation for that was so low that when something really cool crawls out of the egg, you're like, oh
holy
man,
shit,
this is awesome. Yeah. So you save yourself a lot of, you know, anxiety almost, at least in my opinion, by just kind of putting it in there, forgetting about it, not expecting anything out of it. Like I put a clutch in there. I'm like, I can do pie to pie and be like, it's all normals. It's going to be all normals. I'm not going to get anything, you know?
Yeah.
And the more you keep that mindset, it definitely keeps things more exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I did a pairing and I didn't even realize how badass the babies would come out. And it was a fire spot nose pinstripe. From Ben Rennick. Got the paperwork and everything. And I bred it to a pastel orange dream. And I don't know why. It just didn't trigger me that I was going to possibly hit some ridiculous animals. And wait, I'm going to grab them right now. I struck gold.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's always those clutches. It's always the ones that you kind of, you know, aren't expecting anything out of that end up being like the clutches that you are really excited about when they call it.
So I think I hit all 5 genes. Orange Dream, Spot Nose, Firefly, Pin. They're in shed. They're going into shed now, but the orange on them.
I mean, you can see it. It's like super bright.
And I hit 2 of them.
Sweet.
Male and a female.
Nice. I was going to say 1.1.
1.1. So I'm a little pissed off because I'm so fucking tired of pinstripe. I have 2 pinstripe males that have just been overbred over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And spot nose pinstripe is like the worst fucking morph to figure out. It is. It hurts it hurts my brain. I have 4 of them that I won't sell because I don't believe what people say. They're like, oh, it's not. I don't see it. I'm like, how do you not see? I see. If you see it in this, then how do you not see it in this? And why am I seeing it in this and this, but you're not seeing it in that? I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah. You know,
they're female. Oh shit! What'd my camera do?
I was just about to say the best one of those are when they're females. You can just keep them and breed them. You know, not a big deal.
Uh-oh, my camera's gone.
Oh.
I don't know what the fuck happened. ProCam. There you go. Woohoo! I'm back.
There we go.
We got a new computer here. My computer, of course, died when I needed to not spend $500. But I do like the new computer. Other than it doing that.
I was gonna say, I was like, man, you found one for $500. That's a pretty good deal.
BJ's Wholesale. I mean, it's touch screen. It's got all those bells and whistles.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Because
I
that was
bought just recently. I got like the Surface Pro 5 or something like that. Whew.
yeah.
I could have bought a pretty snake. Money I spent on that damn thing.
Yeah, and now you're screwed. Now you got touchscreen. So now you'll never want a screen without touchscreen, even though you'll barely use touchscreen.
Yeah, I actually use it all the time. Mine is it's the Surface Pro, so it has the attachable keyboard, so it can be a computer, or you can take the back off and make it a tablet. I absolutely love it for when I'm doing like my snake records and stuff, because I get an Excel pulled up and I just have like the pen, and I can just like scroll through Excel and write, like, you know, they have the keyboard where like if you have the pen, you click on something, you just write it down real quick, it types it out, puts it in it's pretty convenient. I like it a lot. And when I'm editing videos, it makes a huge difference too, because I can, it's nice.
Yeah, see,
I enjoy it.
I'm more of I do all my editing on my cell phone. All my videos is edited. I've never done a video. Yeah, it's all on my cell phone, and the computer I have to use it for the Tinkercad with the 3D stuff. And I'm always like, I hate the mouse, so I always like certain things. I'll like touch the screen and scroll up.
Yep. So I have one of these fancy mice.
That is fancy.
So it's like a $60 mouse. So you don't move it. You just move the ball. So it goes like this, and this is how you scroll around your screen is with your thumb. Then you have right click, left click, forward click, or this side, forward click and back click. So it's super easy. Like you never have to move your mouse. It's all this. But I'm a computer programmer by trade. So I buy fancy computer stuff because I don't like to wait. I'm super impatient. I want to be able to run all my programs at once. I don't want anything to ever lag. Like I'm very picky about that stuff. And I hate updates, so I run Windows 7 overlay on all my computers. So like my computer is technically running the newest window update, but it all looks like Windows 7. So it's just an overlay so that it looks like I'm running Windows 7, but I have all the real updates, so nothing's off.
Really?
And yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I enjoy it. I tried doing a desk job for a few years and just decided that it was not made for me.
I have ADHD. There's no way I could do a desk job. I can't do it. I'll lose my fucking mind.
Yeah, it was rough. It was definitely rough, and so now I breed snakes. That's my fun job that I do now, and it's different every day. That's what I love about it. You know, whether it's the social media or the people or the questions or the topics or even our snakes, they change so much. You know, from hatchling to 300 grams to 600 grams to breeding. You know, it's always something new, always something different.
Oh yeah, when you it's like weights when it's weighing day and you're weighing all your animals and documenting, and then you see like, holy shit, this one gained 300 grams. What the fuck is going on here? You know, it's awesome. Good night, cuddle time. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I kind of breed everything with like the geckos, because the geckos kind of like keep you busy all year round.
Yep.
You know, they have their 4-month cool down. But ball pythons are really like, it's a quick season, you know, and I breed all year round, and it's still a quick season because we get our bulk of our clutches like May through July is our main, you know, and then we get a few from like February to April, and then we get another few from like August to November.
But it's definitely quick. We'll go from having no clutches to having 6 or 7 clutches in a 2 to 3 week span. And then, we'll go another couple weeks without having anything. And then, go through a big surge again. So it's definitely, it's like your workload triples in a month and then it dwindles back down,
Like, I'm excited I got another clutch, but it's another 8 hatchlings. That's another 8. And I feed my hatchlings every 5 days, and that adds up. Because when you got like 40 mouths to feed every 5 days, it gets fucking nuts. And then I'm like searching for hey, I don't have enough rat pinks. I got to use hoppers this time around.
Yeah,
but
when I rotate, because I rotate through ASFs and Norways. I almost always feed African softers, but like you said, when you're feeding hatchlings every 5 to 7 days, because we do that roughly as well. Sometimes the softers just don't produce enough, I guess, at this point. And right now we're expanding. We just started. We started 98 African softfur colonies last month.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, so not only are we upping our production, but when you do that, you end up having to hold back a lot more rats. We had to hold back all those females and all those males, so I wasn't able to feed them off. And so I had to feed Norways, actually for the first time, to my 2020 hatchlings, and everything ate. No hesitation at all. People say these are animals that are almost around 8 months to even a year old now, and they've never seen a Norway rat in their life. They've been on ASF since they hatched out of the egg, and I threw a Norway in, and nothing. I didn't have a single animal that didn't eat. So
my theory behind all of that, and I'm sure it'll get proved. I'm confident it's going to prove out in the years.
Yep.
Is a snake that was meant to be a mouser is going to be the one that gets stuck on ASFs.
Yep.
If it's one that's meant to eat whatever that is put in front of its face, it's going to fucking eat it.
Yep. I tell people that all the time. The only people I've ever heard of that their animals got stuck on ASFs was because the only thing it would eat before that was a mouse. And I'd rather have my snake be on ASFs than mice because they get bigger. You can feed a female 1 or 2 full-grown ASFs and it's a good meal. You might have to feed them 5 to 7 mice for them just to maintain a weight. So, yeah, I definitely like softfurs. I originally wanted to convert my whole collection over to softfurs. That was our plan, was to produce enough softfurs at the rodent building that we could sell pretty much every Norway we produced, right? I feed my hatchlings that I know I'm going to sell Norway rats, because a lot of people do get turned off if they've heard that they've only been on softfurs. So I do feed them Norways, but I feed all my holdback softfurs. If I think I might hold it back, I feed it softfurs. Then I'll convert it to Norway later, or I'll start feeding it Norways if I decide that I'm going to sell it. So originally I was going to transition everything over to softfurs, but what I've noticed is I don't have any males that go off feed during the breeding season. Knock on wood. I've never had a breeder male go off feed.
I'll knock on it for you too.
Yeah, knock on wood. I've never had a breeder male go off feed. And I think I add that up to, I feed Norways to all of my adult snakes, my breeder females and my breeder males, mainly because I just don't have the production of softfur to feed everything in my collection. So, yeah, so it's a lot. And they take forever to grow to be the size that I would like to feed them, off to my adults. So during the breeding season, if I have a male that misses 2 to 3 meals, I'll throw a softfur in. And every time, they hit it, no problem. They take it, eat it. And then, I might get a male that'll skip like a meal a month or something during the breeding season on softfurs, but they're still eating. They're eating good sized meals. As soon as I'm done pairing them, I switch them right back over to Norways. Never had a male get stuck on one. You know, as soon as breeding season's done, they go right back on the Norway rats. So I think what I am going to do is actually keep my adult males on Norways during most of the year. And then that way I have like that extra leverage of being able to offer them a soffer, which is a meal that they don't always get offered, right?
Yeah.
To just get them, just to kind of get them back eating again if I ever have anything that does go off feed. So, but other than that, I want to switch my females over. All my hatchlings are on it. My subadults, my grow outs, everything is eating soffers.
Yeah, because it's beneficial. Their color, the color of the snakes are nicer. The sheds are nicer. I mean, everything all around is so much nicer for African soffers.
They don't poop as much. It's so much nicer.
Yeah. They have Chihuahua turds.
I love it. I mean, my boas still get rad. Yes. Yeah. Instead of Great Dane shits.
Exactly.
And I've got females that will fill up the entire back of their tub.
Yeah, you know, my boas, it's the boas, because also the boas, like, it seems like they just naturally burn calories faster. You know, like
they do. Yes.
They're so, you feed them and it's like you second guess what you fed them last week because they look so skinny. You're like, wait a minute, didn't I feed you a medium last week? How the fuck are you? That's what happened this week. We're expanding on African software. So right now, the way everything works is I have 21 colonies of mice, 13 African softwares, and 33 rat colonies. I want to get 11 more rat colonies, one more grow out bin, and then I'm only keeping mice because there's these morphs that I fucking like. I found the recessive gene, and I've been breeding the recessive gene, and now I'm keeping it. But I think I'm gonna knock it down to 30 bins and actually go with like maybe 25 colonies of African softers, and then just let them grow out in the colony, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. I think they're beneficial. They're easy to breed. They're prophilic breeders. We run right now. We just started the 98 colonies. I think I have I'd say probably 22 up and running right now that are getting ready to actually retire. They've been our main breeders for the past 8 months. And then we also have an ARS mouse rack that has, we bought it and it was missing some tubs. We bought it used, so we're actually waiting for those tubs to get in. But I think there's 33 colonies in that. So, we're looking at like 150 colonies of the softers. Nice. And then I only have 18 mice colonies because, like I said, I don't really feed any mice. We mainly just breed them for retail sale. But I am expanding those relatively quickly, as much as I can. And then we run about 1,200 breeder female Norways.
That's fucking sick. That's a lot.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of
your colonies. 1 to 4.
So we actually do kind of what Kabulka does, where he does. So we have a male in each tub, and then there's 6 females to a male. And then we pull the pregnants, and then the next week the females get moved to the next tub as we pull females. And so the way that works is they actually stay in that system it takes them about 3 to 4 months to get to the top tub at the last rack. Then once they get to the top tub at the last rack, the females get culled every week. Because that means they've been in with a male for 3 to 4 months and they have never gotten pregnant, right? So that way we're not running a colony of like 1 to 4 and maybe only 3 females are actually giving birth, right? And so we run it that way. Then we pull them when they're pregnant and we put them in their own maternity tub. And they're in there until they birth. It's usually about a week to 10 days. We pull them when they're like about ready to pop. Usually about a week to 10 days before they give birth, and then we let them raise the litter on their own until the litter's a pup size. And then we take 3 females and 30 pups So if each female had more than 10 in each litter, we'll freeze off the rest and use them as feeders for the future for people buying frozen pups. And so we put them all, and then we move them all to another tub, and they're alone in there. They colony raise pups until weaned. Then we pull the wean, and then the females go back down to the bottom tub of the last group, and then they go through the system again. So by doing this, we actually can run 3 times as many females in a third of the space. Because we have females that are getting bred, we have females that have pinks, so we have females that have pups. So we're constantly recycling through. And that also gives us a chance to see exactly how many babies each female's having. If you have under 8 babies a litter, then usually, as long as it's not the first litter, you can tell when they're young and when they're old, right? But it helps us keep production up. It can help us tell like who's a good mothers to not good mothers. We just kind of get a better chance. But that way we're not running a bunch of females that are only having like maybe 2 to 4 pups pinkies a litter. Like maybe they're getting older. Well, then you end up breeding those females for another 2 to 3 months, and they're only having 2 to 4 pinks. It's really not cost effective in the long run to do it that way. So it's a lot more hands-on for sure. It takes some time getting used to it. It takes some time learning all the things you need to know to kind of run through that system. But it's definitely worth it in the long run. You utilize a lot more space, and you have a lot more control over your females.
Yeah, I have ID cards on all of them, and then I monitor. I give them 6 litters, so they get one good litter, one bad litter, 5 good ones, and then typically the production drops after that, And then I hold back offspring from litters that are above 20.
Yep, same.
So
yeah, we got what we call our special projects rack, and really all that is we put the females that have 20 or more babies in those racks, and then we know to hold back all the pretty much everything from those litters. So
it does make a difference.
It's definitely genetic, 100%. This is definitely
because genetically they're producing that many animals. Yep,
exactly. And we hold back mainly females from those. I do believe it's mainly the female, right? Because it has to do with a bunch of different things, right? How many eggs they're releasing at a time. But you also have to think of, like, is their body even capable? Like, there's a body stature that they have to have, and, to make sure you don't have a dystocia, which is where females, they get a baby, like, stuck in a birth canal, they die at birth, or die giving birth. That's what we call a dystocia. And so there's definitely a lot of factors. But we also try to hold back those males, too, because I do believe that there is a small part that the male plays to make sure that all those eggs that the females are releasing or producing actually have strong, viable chances of being fertilized and upping production. So,
yeah, males are based off of what I like visually.
Look, us mainly too. Yeah.
It's so funny. My wife laughs at me, so I'll be like, "Oh man, look at this one," and then I'm like, "Fuck, it's got balls," and I just goes into the grow out bin, because it has to be a perfect male. It has to be a perfect male.
Yep.
But it's a key thing to being a snake breeder is I think it's extremely beneficial to breed your own rodents.
Yes.
There's so many angles of it.
Even if you can just sell enough to pay for your rodents, right? Like, even if you can just produce enough rodents to excess to sell to cover your costs of breeding, like you're not making any money, you're just breaking even, you're saving so much. You're saving so much money because you're not having to purchase all the rats to save even if you're not breaking even, say you can only produce enough to feed your own collection, it's still cheaper than buying feeder rodents. And not to mention, like we were talking about earlier, just the consistency. You know, you could have, I know people who've been buying rodents off, you know, a buddy for 5, 6, 7 years, and either one, they just decide that they're not going to breed rodents anymore. I've had that happen, or they're going to downsize. And now you're like, where am I going to get my 200 to 300 rodents a week? You know, because not a lot of people produce that much. Or, I mean, we had a really good buddy. It was really unfortunate, but he had like 6 or 7 of his racks flood. It was like a stormy night, and like his roof caved in on his building and flooded like 7 or 8 racks of breeders. So it took him like 6, 7 months to get that production back, you know? So then everyone that was relied to buy off of him, you know, they scrounging around trying to find rodents to purchase, you know, to feed their collections that they don't want to feed frozen. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it does happen.
I have 2 customers that they both started with like 5 snakes, but then they both have got 5 snakes from me, as well as 5 more snakes. So, you know, now they're both at 15 and they come once a week, and that pretty much, you know, it's I do look at it like, okay, I feed my animals for free now.
Right.
But the labor is free, but it ain't free. You know,
yes, yeah. There's definitely, I mean, we have 4 employees now, part-time, but 4 part-time employees. They come twice a week, come Thursday nights, and we start at anywhere between like 6 and 7. They get there at 7. We usually get there about 6 a.m. on Sundays and clean till noon. So
that's great.
You know, yeah, you know, we got 7, and we're looking for a couple more people, and mainly because we don't necessarily need a whole lot more for everyone to be there at once. But we know that that's a side gig for most people. You know, it's not a main income. So you know that, you know, everyone has stuff that pops up and they can't make it one night or a weekend day or whatever. So we just like to have a couple extra people. That way, if 1 or 2 people can't make it, we've got another 1 or 2 that can kind of fill in. So.
Yeah, that's where we want to be. I've been trying to talk someone. Me and a friend of mine we've been talking for years now about joining up and doing a rodent company.
Yep.
And then they picked someone else, and I was kicked to the curb. And I'm like,
no.
Yeah. But I was like, you know what? It could be a blessing in disguise, you know.
Yep.
Junior is almost at that age, you know. My wife will not touch the rodents. Like, even a weanling, like if I drop a weanling on the floor, she's like fucking freaking out and twitching about it. And I'm like, it's a baby. Look, it's a baby. It's not gonna bite you.
Oh. Yeah. Well,
so, and
do you ever have any questions on opening or starting a rattery, or, you know, hit me up. I'd be more than welcome to, you know, happy to talk to you about it and all the different ways you can go about doing stuff. I know you probably got a pretty good idea because you've been doing it yourself, but
yeah,
you know, there's always tips and tricks.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely curious about your system. We got to definitely follow up on that because I'm assuming that your tubs are high. I saw the video, but I don't remember like how many columns are in the rack.
Yeah, I have racks that I can't see the top tub. Like I have to bring it all the way out and then like pull it down and like stand on my tippy toes just to see like what's in the rack.
Yeah. Yeah, see, ours are only 6 high, but I like that idea of what you're doing. Because it's a lot easier than counting. You know, like that's the thing I do a lot is you know, I would say every other week we count our total inventory. Mm-hmm. So just to have an idea, just so that I can put stars on and say, okay, well, this one had, you know, 2 weeks ago we had a 33 pink litter.
That's awesome. That's my biggest litter I've ever had. Is 33.
Unfortunately, 4 didn't make it.
Oh no.
Yeah,
You're still at 29, you know?
Yeah, and it was only her second litter.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so we're like, okay, well, litter number 3, we're holding back all the females.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Once we have, like, listen, I plan on buying property. I don't want to live in New York, where we want to have a building for rodents and a building for snakes and partitions, and this will be snakes, this will be geckos, and different climates and all of that, so that temperatures are kind of more ambient and more responsive for the animals.
Yes.
But that's why Virginia's on my radar. I swear, I don't know.
Yeah, we've kind of been looking at North Carolina, but we actually wanted to be in southern Tennessee, like southeast Tennessee, Chattanooga area. Was our first plan. There's a lot of benefits to Tennessee. Like, if you've lived there for more than 12 months, your kids get 4 years free community college.
Wow.
So that's a big benefit. There's a lot of benefits for like retirement and that kind of stuff too, which I mean, I know we're a long ways off, but I only want to move cross country once. Like, if I'm moving away, I'm staying, I'm kind of staying in that area. So we were looking at that, but they do have restrictions on some of the animals that we would like to keep and things like that. And so I was looking at right over the border into North Carolina, and North Carolina, there is no laws about, like, you can own crocodilians, you can own venomous, you can own tigers. Like, North Carolina doesn't care. You can own whatever you want.
Yes. I want a fucking tiger.
Yeah, you can own whatever you want in North Carolina. I think you have to have a license. I think you have to have a license for big cats, but you can own them. You can sign up and get a permit and all that fun stuff. So I really would like to work with some crocodilian species in the future, and I really want to get into hots as well. I'm gonna do it smart though. I'm waiting till Belle's out of the house, because even though I would trust her, I'm like, yeah, I see some high school boy come in and be like, I can handle the king cobra and getting his ass bit and dying. So that would be my biggest concern. And then I'm also gonna take. I've been talking to some of my zookeeper friends, and you can take gator licensing classes, you can take hot licensing classes, and it's more expensive if you're not a zookeeper, if you're not a part of the Zookeeper Association of the United States or whatever. It's more expensive, but you can still sign up and take the classes. And so I'm actually planning eventually to go get like my gator wrestling license, and I'd like to go and take some classes on hots and that kind of stuff too, because as much as I'm pretty confident with the way that I handle snakes, I feel like just having the more knowledge that you can when dealing with animals like that is probably better than just being like, oh yeah, I can handle a king cobra, we'll be fine.
I want to do hots too. I don't want to do it for breeding purposes. I want to do it for venom purposes.
Yes.
So get the freeze dry machine and produce the venom and go that route.
Same.
I think it would be more for I think it'd be pretty cool to be able to be one of the people out there that's saving lives.
Yep.
So you're producing product that will produce anti-venoms that may save that kid in the woods that gets bit by a venomous snake. That's the aspect I'm looking at, but I know the machine is like $20,000, so you got to be, it's all these plans have to line up.
Yes.
And that's like on the 15-year plan right now. We're close, but not there yet.
Yeah, it'd definitely be long way down the road for us. But I'm fortunate. I've been breeding since I was 18. I'll be 24 in June. So.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You make me feel old. I'm 14 years older than you.
So we're very fortunate that, I'm always joking around with people like, I was born in 1997. So
I
people always,
graduated
the 90s, I'm like the first 2 years of, when I was 2, I remember the 90s.
Yeah,
So
you were still shitting in your diapers. It doesn't count.
I'm just a baby. So yeah, so we still got, time to figure out all that fun stuff. And
Well, congratulations to you. That's fucking impressive. I mean,
thank
you're like
you.
literally living the reptile dream. You're full
Yep.
time in the reptiles at 24. Fuck, you're gonna be a force to be reckoned. I mean,
I'm very,
you're
very,
already a force.
very,
20
very
years.
fortunate.
It's great. Hey, you know what? It's like that's my whole goal is to be able to do what your dream is.
Yep.
I always joke around that the only asshole I want to work for is myself.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, I don't work well for other people. I don't. And it's funny because I've had lots of different jobs. I'm a jack of all trades. I've never been fired from a job. I've actually had people like, offer me way more than I probably should ever make to keep jobs because, I like to think I'm a good worker. But I just I don't put up with people's bullshit, I guess. I don't know. Like I'm not a puppet. I don't like, and when I make up my mind, then I usually just kind of run with it. So, and we're kind of fortunate in that. We take a lot of gambles to get where we are now, and just like me quitting my job to do this part-time even, and then to go to full-time, it was not always super feasible on paper, and I said, you know what? I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it and it's going to work. And, whatever happens, we'll just have to see. And we've been extremely fortunate and extremely lucky that it's worked out extremely well the past couple of years. But we could have been those people like, we're going to work for another 5 to 10 years. We're going to work until we're in our 30s, and get more established and have a nicer house and drive better cars and all that kind of stuff. And then, but, I was just like, no better time to do it than now.
hell yeah.
Why keep grinding to do something you hate when you can do something that you love? So, and like I said, we're fortunate that worked out, but sometimes you got to take the leap and see where it goes. It's scary.
Hell yeah.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
clenching
Yeah,
your
I think
teeth hoping that it works out.
next year's our year.
Yes.
I mean, we have 3 kids,
awesome.
and then my wife doesn't work, so there's that's a lot of variables,
Yes.
But I'm confident about next year.
That's
I'm confident about this year, but I want to this year I'm sure we could wing it.
Yep.
But it could go lean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you can't do that. We can't do that with 3 kids.
Exactly.
But,
no. Yeah, I totally agree. And I tell people too, we put my snake room's the nicest room in my house. You know what I mean? Like we put, except for my daughter's room. My daughter's got a pretty sweet setup. But, we put everything that we make pretty much into this business. And, we're getting to the point now where it's really paid off. But, I have a dining room table and the 4 chairs don't match. That's that's where I'm at right now. So, but then this year we're making a bunch of renovations to the house and it's paid off. But you got to make sacrifices sometimes in other aspects when you're able to jump head in on something like that. Like I said, we'd love to live in a bigger, fancier house and drive bigger and better cars, right? But instead of paying 2 car payments every month, I have an old beater truck, that's what I drive around, and I take that money that I would put towards that car or, whatever it is, and I put it into the business. So, yeah.
Both of my car, one of my cars is a 2002, my other one's a 03.
Yeah.
So I understand that. I don't want to pay full coverage. I don't want to pay a monthly payment. I don't want to worry about a payment and they're going to take my car or, I can put as much miles as I want on my piece of shit car. I don't need to worry about my lease is going to run up and,
you know, I see a lot of people that say that they want to make this dream happen, but they also want the big fancy cars and the big fancy houses and, you know, all the designer clothes and designer shoes. It's like in the beginning, you have to pick one or the other. And unfortunately, the house gets old, the cars get old, the clothes wear out. But if you build a business that you can use to support yourself, then in the long run, you can buy those things, right? You know, you can have the fancy cars and go on the big vacations and do all the stuff that you want to do, but you got to put the work in first, and you might have to make do kind of with what you have in the beginning to see, you know, to eventually see that. So I think that's where a lot of people see the successful people and they're like, I want to be that person. It's like, yeah, but you don't see the years before the success.
Oh yeah. And I mean, that new car may smell nice, but it ain't dropping a clutch of eggs.
Yeah, exactly. It ain't making you any money. If anything, it's costing you money and dropping value by the minute. So
yeah, as soon as you start that key, that car, it's like half of it's gone, you know?
Yeah. They always say you drive it off the lot and it's worth half of what you paid for it, you know?
Yeah. That's why I like shitty cars, because when you drive off the lot, it's still the shitty car and worth the shitty price you paid for.
I have a 2001 Chevy Silverado 3/4 ton pickup.
Nice.
Yeah, I bought it off of a buddy I went to college with, and he went to have something repaired on it. I don't remember what it was. It was a newer mechanic at the shop, and the guy forgot to take the transmission fluid cable clamps off, and the guy drove it 5 miles down the road, blew the transmission out of it.
Oh, no.
So he took it back to the mechanic, still had the clamps on it, so they had to put a brand new transmission in it for free. That guy drove it for like another 20,000 miles. I bought the truck with only 160,000 miles on it because it was just a farm truck. They never drove it anywhere, just around the farm. And so I bought it 3 years ago now, I believe, with 160,000 miles on it, and the transmission only had 20,000 miles on it. I'm like, this thing's going to run. It's got 500,000 miles on the odometer, you know, nothing wrong with it. Works like a charm. The battery died in it this last winter, and I went out, and this is kind of a funny story. I told Kyle to check that battery because I knew it was old, and he told me he did, and then it died. He didn't check it. But it was a battery from 2006.
Holy shit. Yeah, factory battery.
Yeah, it was like the original battery to the truck. And I was like, you know, and he had just been talking shit about this truck because, you know, it's rusted out. You know, Chevys, they rust out the runner boards and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, this truck has been starting with the same battery for 15 years.
Yeah.
Like, you can't bitch about it. It's reliable.
Yeah, we have AutoZone up here, and AutoZone they don't test the battery. So if you buy a battery, you make sure you buy the gold.
Really?
Because, oh yeah, I've killed batteries by like leaving the lights on and killing the battery, and I throw it on a trickle charger, and it doesn't bring it back to life. You go right to AutoZone, and they oh, what's your phone number? You give them your phone number, the battery's right there. They don't even test it. They're like, all right, here's your size. Do you want to install it, or am I installing it? You know, it's fucking crazy. Yeah, a little trick of the trade. So my batteries get replaced every 2 years.
That's crazy. Yeah, you know, I usually go and get our AutoZones are really awesome. They'll recharge your battery right in the parking lot. So I grew up farm kid. You know, Kyle's more of a city kid, and so I just kind of expected, this is dumb of me, I just kind of expected him to know, like, winter in Illinois hits, you go get your batteries charged. Like, right before winter hits, you go, you get it charged, like, you get everything switched out, you know, for antifreeze and all that kind of stuff, and I just kind of expected, I'm like, hey, did you get the batteries checked? He's like, well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with them, and then it ended up dying one day, and I'm like, we just got this thing charged, and he was like, charged? And I was like, didn't you go get the batteries checked? He's like, oh, I thought you meant did I just check on them? Like, they've been working fine. All right. Not what I meant.
He's like, what the fuck is she talking about? Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah. I'm like, no, this is an old farm truck. Like, you got to go get that shit charged before winter, you know?
Yeah, I have a trickle charger that, you know, desulfurizes the battery, which essentially brings the amperage up, and then now your battery's as good as it's going to be without being rebuilt.
Right.
So I know all about that because wintertime, you know, it's that like January, February when you start hitting the negatives where you're like, yeah, your battery has to be good because it's not when you're fucking at it's not when you have nothing to do. It's when something's important and you turn it and it doesn't have enough amperage to turn.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I'm old school. Like, I know how to start my truck with like a screwdriver and a paperclip, pretty much. Like, I've gone into a gas station and gotten like the stuff I need from like that little small like supply section, like a cuticle clipper and a fingernail file, and started my truck before.
Jump the starter.
Yeah. So, yeah, so, you know, usually I can get it going, but this thing was just dead. It was so dead, you know, and I was like, you can take it somewhere, but when you get there, don't turn it off because there's no way you're getting it back on.
Yeah, that's the problem with my Mitsubishi, my little SUV, is that one, something's going on, and I just haven't, it's too cold to climb under it, but I think the carbon reservoir for leaking fuel is filled because it's 15 years old. And because that son of a bitch will drive perfectly fine, and then you stop and get gas, and then it doesn't start. So then when you have to wait 5 minutes, and then once it starts, you got to keep your foot on the throttle, and you got to pop it into neutral. If it was manual, it'd be nice because you could just rev it up and then put it into gear. But it's automatic. So now you're going from park to neutral, holding it up, and then popping it into gear when the coast is clear to fucking go.
Yep.
Because if you don't drive 100 feet, that son of a bitch is going to stall out on you again. You know, it needs vacuum.
Damn. I had a little Infinity. I'll never buy another Nissan because this is supposed to be like the fancy Nissans or whatever. And I had a little Infinity, and it had an electrical problem. I don't know what the hell was wrong with this car. It was possessed, I'm pretty sure, to be completely honest. So if you were going uphill, it would die. If you're going uphill, it would die. Completely turn off. Everything would turn off. And then when you started to go back downhill, it would turn back on and floor to whatever speed you were going when it died. Like, it was the weirdest car I've ever driven before. And so, like, yeah, so and you could brake and it would still keep flooring. Like, I would brake so it wouldn't get the speed, but it would still be giving it gas. It was freaking weird. And so you'd be out in the back roads, like big hills and shit, you know? So I knew that this car was going to die as soon as I started going back up the other side of the hill, you know? So I tried to hit the bottom of that hill going like 90 because I had to make sure I could get up to the top, you know, of the hill just by momentum. And then when you started going back down the other side, the car would turn on and floor, and it would literally keep feeding the car gas, even if your foot was on the brake, until the speedometer hit 90.
So you must have killed brakes like no other.
It was terrible. I only drove it that way for like a couple weeks where I was like, yeah, I need a new car. Like, this is ridiculous. But I think I paid $3,000 for the car. I had it less than a year, and I put $3,300 into it. And then it started on this electrical problem. And it was only like a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. Of course, it was an Infinity. So everything had to be special ordered, and the parts were ridiculously expensive and all this, you know, bullshit. Finally, I traded it in. I sent it to the car dealer, and I was waiting for a day that it was running good. And I took it there. They went out and started it. They gave me $1,000 for the little sucker. I was like, sweet, I'll take it. I just don't want it anymore.
Take that shit out of my life.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was a terrible little car. I'll never own another one. Like, it turned me off from Infinity, Nissans, like everything. I'm like, never again. I took it to countless mechanics, friends of mine. No one could figure out what was wrong with it. Most people didn't believe me. And I'm like, take it for a drive. And they would, and they'd come back and be like, I'm like, I don't know. Something's wrong. Someone wired something weird, or it was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
Well, we're about to hit 3 hours and 20 minutes,
I
which went
saw
by
that.
super fucking fast.
Yes.
This was awesome. I really enjoyed this live stream, and I thank you for jumping in. You know,
Yeah, definitely.
and,
It was actually funny. I had just got off the phone with Brandon from Oodles and Noodles, and he was telling me about all these lives that he had. Like, he had one tonight and one tomorrow and one on Monday or Tuesday, I think, you know. And I'm like, he's had a few in the past. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I never get invited to do lives. Like, never. Like, ever. And I swear not like 30, 45 minutes later, you messaged me. It was like, hey, do you want to
that's
talk
awesome.
on my live? I called Brandon back. I was like, what the hell did you do? Like, I was like, you had to have something to do with this. He's like, no, I swear to God, I didn't say anything. I was
Yeah,
like,
you know what?
Ask and you shall receive, I guess.
I was like, who can I ask? And then I'm like, you're my first female, one-on-one guest, and I was like, fuck, people may think I'm sexist or something. Like, it just hasn't come around for me to ask, and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I bet Liz will jump on. Let me ask her, and it worked out
So
great.
I was that we need more diversity pick. No.
Yeah, you diversified my, it's like it's always Kenny and David Ceason,
Yeah.
and Troy.
Oh,
But no, this was great. It was nice, and we it's nice talking to people that are living the same lifestyle as a ball python breeder.
yes.
Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it is rewarding.
For sure.
So
definitely. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Can't wait for Arlington.
Yes, I'm so many people are going. It's gonna be. I'm so excited. That's a lot.
It's gonna be. I don't know, Troy. The ticket. I think it's only a 4-hour flight.
Yeah, if you're flying.
Yeah, we're flying, which will be. I went to Florida back and forth in second grade. When I was 21, I went skydiving.
Ooh.
And then, trying to break my fear of heights, which didn't work. And then,
did you jump?
Oh, hell yeah, I jumped.
It's like, I paid to get up here. I'm fucking jumping.
No, I was good. I fucking got home. I was climbing trees and shit. I went on the roof of my house, and then I was putting Christmas lights up on top of a restaurant. And my juice head best friend at the time thought it'd be funny to grab me by my fucking pants and my shirt and lift me up and go like that.
No, I would have.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw my life. It was a 20-foot drop. My life was passed in my eyes, and I got the fuck off that roof. My fear of heights came right back after that.
No. Oh yeah, no! I would have thrown my friend off the roof. That's what would have happened. Like, I would have put me down laughing. I would have been like, bye. I would have been like this all the way down.
Me and Frankie D have, like, I've talked about on lives how we used to like tase each other like for fun.
Oh,
that's where the whole like tasing thing is. Like,
yes,
I don't mind getting tased. I just don't like how I feel the next day.
Yeah,
I don't feel good the next day.
Oh no.
And then it takes days for. So like, I had a burn that went across my whole armpit from the last time, and it was electrical burn in my armpit. Was just not. It was worth it. You know what, Dave? Someone lucked out and got an extra $1,000.
Yeah.
So I'll. You know what? Fuck it. It was worth it. But
I've been tased before, like actually tased. But one of the biggest things that you learn, like growing up, I used to work on a lot of cattle farms and stuff, right? And guys, I don't know if you've known or been through the difference between a horse electric fence and a cattle electric fence. There's a huge difference. Like, horses are pussies. Like, it just shocks you. And they're like, no, cattle, it's like, there's some sting to that. Like there's some oomph to that shock. But if you guys don't know, if you grab an electric fence, then grab another person, the current will travel through you and zap the person on the end, right? So that was always the big thing. Like, you'd be walking along checking fences, 5 or 6 other people. Someone got close enough to you, you would reach out, grab them, grab the fence, and shock the person on the end. So that was always a big thing.
And that adds more current.
Social distancing has been a long taught thing in my life. I don't ever walk too close to someone else.
Now I'm gonna be a little bit more cautious around those fences if I'm ever near one.
People used to think it was so funny, and it is until you're the one that's grounded. Like, every once in a while, you wouldn't realize it. You'd be standing somewhere, and you would end up being the ground. If you were, it would just be strange. Sometimes it would happen, that shock the shit out of you, and you'd be like, "Damn it!"
Yeah, I would be that asshole that grabs somebody and grabs.
For the most part. Yeah, or you get the dumb people that grab the fence before they grab the person.
Oh, yeah. So they're already fucked.
You gotta grab your grounder first. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God. I can't wait for Arlington. I'm so grateful to the community that everybody kind of, chipped together to make this happen.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, I haven't been able to provide a family vacation for my kids. It's a weekend at Grandpa's house. That was the extent to everything. So for all of us to be going there, like Jenny's like, "Oh, Dad, it's getting close. You need to order me a new bathing suit, and I want more than one because I need to use the pool." And it's crazy that it's April, like
2nd. Yeah, I know. It's so close.
We're 18 days away from our flight. It's fucking
so you guys
nuts.
Are going down kind of early.
We're flying down Wednesday.
Yeah,
we're flying down Wednesday, and we're flying up on back up on Monday.
Sweet. So I'll actually be there. I'm caravanning down with Troy and JD and them. So we're gonna get in like pretty late Wednesday night. So I'll be there all day Thursday. We'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll leave after the show on Sunday. But I didn't know anyone else that was going to be there on Thursday. So I hope a couple more people will be down that way.
I told Troy, let's go hog hunting. Let's find someone to go hog hunting.
Yes. I'll bring my bow.
I want to experience that. That's like...
Kyle's been hog hunting before. I actually have one of his boar heads upstairs. But yeah, I'll bring my bow. Let's go hog hunting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm psyched. I mean, they were both breaking my balls earlier, but about the gator nuggets, like that's definitely something that I can't wait for the family, because I'm that dad that makes his kids eat weird shit, but like they love Bunny.
Yeah.
They definitely didn't like, Jenny and David did not like the spicy tuna roll for lunch today. That was instantly spit into a napkin.
Oh, but
no. Gator's different because it's similar to stuff that they already eat.
Yes.
So I'm thrilled. Just the whole, because Texas is on my radar too to move to, because I love pork and free swine sounds good. That's why Georgia sounds good.
Have you ever had wild hog?
I've never had it, no, but
it's different. It's good, but it's not pork. Like, it's almost like the difference between eating a deer and a cow. You ever had venison? Like, it's very gamey because it's just. Although I love venison, but I'm also in Illinois and Iowa where we have corn-fed venison. Like, our deer are huge.
Yeah, you guys got the largest deer in the States, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can get a whitetail buck that's 300 pounds.
Nuts.
You go down to
had some
Missouri,
big-
they're like 120, 150. Yeah, they're huge. There's a lot of famous people that own land in Iowa and Illinois, especially like country singers and stuff, just for hunting. They just own timber, and they come out a couple times a year to hunt.
The dream. See, that's one of the things that will be on the list of stuff if I make it big one day.
Yes.
Is deep pit hog is delicious. Yeah, I hear it. Low and slow. It's the way to cook the hog. And my smoker is, the one benefit of being in upstate New York is there's apple orchards everywhere. So I get a ton of apple wood for cheap.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
And like people are like, oh, you got to soak your wood in water. Like, I don't soak my wood in water. I don't need to. I get so much wood, so much apple wood that, we just fucking big ass chunks throw it in.
It's probably fairly fresh too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's where it's from. It's not like they're shipping it all across the country and it's old and, yeah.
Well, it's dried, it's aged.
Okay.
But
right. Yeah, I guess that would be true. But still, yeah.
But I don't know. There's something about living off the land. It makes the meat taste better to know that was a tree that grew in New York.
Yeah.
Probably really close to my house. But I am having had such a great time. We're 3 hours and 30 minutes.
Right. I
know. We got to do this again in the future. Maybe next time I'll have both you and I'll have the Reptile Revolution.
There we go.
Over here. Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
But
another 3-hour night though, because Brandon and I can certainly talk forever.
Yeah. I have the same problem.
Yeah.
Everyone it makes fun of me that my live streams are always at least 3 hours minimum. I can't help it. You know what? If the conversation's going great, why not?
Yeah, definitely. For sure. All right. Well, like I mentioned earlier, huge thank you for having me on. And we'll have to do this again sometime.
Yes, definitely. Right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Later. Well, that was fun, everybody. Thanks for everyone that joined in. And I hope you guys liked it. I enjoyed it. That was a great conversation. And we talked about so many different topics. And the main topic I would say that is like the most impressive is that dream, that reptile dream of being a reptile breeder and being able to do it full time and be able to do something you love full time. And imagine that Liz is 24 years old and living that dream already. Wow, that's great. That's a huge accomplishment, and I can't wait to the day that I can say that I don't have to work for any assholes anymore, and I'm full time. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you next week. And I'll have a video out on Monday of the New Hampshire Reptile Expo. And yeah, you all have a great night. Peace.